Y'all, hello. 'Tis I, Lauren Cadillac, aka OG Cadillac, aka Mother of the Decade, aka looks 10 years younger than she really is. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for being here. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. First, good morning everyone in the chat. Thank you so much. Before we get into the absolute bullshit calamity mess that is this RICO trial in Fulton County, the YSL RICO trial, I want to say thank you first to everyone who contributed to my birthday fundraiser for the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. We were able to raise $175 through the month of September, which is amazing. So thank you. Round of applause to everyone. Thank you so much. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. This morning, after I guess it was while I was in the shower after my workout, I was contemplating the meaning of life and justice. And, you know, I really, as a society who claims to be a form of democracy, because we're a democratic republic, we're not a true democracy, as a society that is a form of a democracy that claims to believe in rights for all people and the seeking of the truth under the law, we truly do not utilize mistrial as much as we should. Truly, we don't. If any of you watched the Alec Baldwin Rust trial, or Rust, or whatever it was, trial, we watched it together on this channel. It was like 2 days long, because in that trial it came out that the prosecution, the state, had some evidence that they had heard of that could or could not have been, may or may not have been exculpatory. They did not disclose it and provide it to the defendant. Case closed, period, end of story. You're done, state. You follow the rules we wrote, or it's over for you. And that's how it should be. That is the society we have agreed to. That is the laws that we have agreed to. That's the Constitution that we have agreed to, right? Like, that is what we have created as American society, and that is what we expect as Americans that are part of said American society. Yet here we have a case where the government does not have all of their evidence. The government has not disclosed all of their evidence. The government continues to try to stretch and delay in an effort to, I don't know, bore people into giving them a guilty. I'm not really sure what that strategy is. But we have so many mistakes made by the government that there's been like, what, 45 requests for mistrial, 45 motions for mistrial. At a certain point, which I think probably would have been motion 3 or 4 if I were the judge, our state must be held to the same standard as our citizens, if not higher. It's the government's fucking rules. They wrote the rules. Those are their rules. They belong to the state. Those are the state's rules. They're all getting paid from the same government paycheck. Follow your own fucking rules. the miscarriage of justice is despicable and angering, even when you're not watching it happen before your eyes over a 140-day period. But as you watch it before your eyes over a 140-day period, it starts to really get at you. It starts to really wear your nerves. My nerves are worn with this trial, y'all. I do not believe in fair. Fair is not a thing. It is a thing. It happens once once a year at the fairgrounds here in Dallas. I think it's already begun. I know it's already begun, and it goes through October or something. That's fair, okay? What we seek in a courtroom is justice. Not fairness, justice. And in order to have justice, you must have a just and equal application of the law to all parties. We don't have that. We don't have that in this case. I mean, y'all, imagine being in 5th grade and reading the biographies of the presidents and deciding, I want to be part of the system. Imagine spending your whole life borrowing $250,000 so that you can go and become a lawyer and be part of this justice system that is so important as an American, that you feel so strongly in, and then you go through all that, and then this shit happens. Can I get my money back? Can I get my money back? Can we waive that damn loan? Okay, like, what the actual fuck? Just kills me. It just... I ate an omelet this morning, so I'm like full and ready to go, guys. I got that energy. I'm ready. Hey, everyone. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for everyone who's in the chat. I appreciate you. This trial is absolutely enraging. And then if you add all the money I borrowed, and I actually just saw my student loan balance, and it's astronomical, and so it just makes me even more ragey. I can't, Torta Mom, you're right. Like, Maxwell Shard, Brian Steele, Keith Adams, Doug Weinstein, Bruce Harvey, all of Matthews, Mr. Carrington Matthews Sr., even Miss D. Williams, every single one of those people deserves an award for being shat on every day. I mean, they're like Saint Nikki Hilton. She's worked next to Ms. Love and never elbowed her in the face. So she deserves an award too. Oh, Julie, glad to see you here on the live. She's been a rewatch lately. It's all right. We all have lives. Big shout out to Belen, who got me this beautiful necklace when she went to Mexico. It was very thoughtful, and I think it's very pretty. Thank you, Belen. I got these earrings in Canada. Oh my God, I'm like all North America today. What's up? Okay. So the trial is paused right now because of the Rosh Hashanah holiday. Thank you, Julie. I just got these. I got a new prescription, so I got some new glasses. So trials paused because of the Rosh Hashanah holiday. It is my understanding that everyone, the lawyers and whatnot, come back to court on Wednesday the 9th, and then the jurors either come back Friday or Monday. I don't know. All right, so on Monday of this week, and thank God it was a short week, because really my patience with this trial is all I could do with this trial is 3 days a week. I really can't do much more. I want to throw something. It like makes me so mad that I just want to like throw things, you know. So the 3 days a week is a good pace for me, and I'm imagining the jurors are feeling similarly. The jurors are like, Jesus Christ. If I was one of the jurors, I. Okay. So, you know, when Demetria was here last week, she said, well, I don't want to talk about the aesthetics of it. But, y'all, the aesthetics are very important. So I am going to talk about the aesthetics. This jury is judging not just the defendants, but their counsel and the state's counsel, all the witnesses. The jury has to judge and take into consideration all of these things when they go back and determine what happened. So the way that you as an advocate in the courtroom and an attorney in a courtroom come across to the jury is very important. All right. So myself, and this is the other thing, you have to know your audience. Every jury is different. If you're someone like me who's relatively decent at reading people, and then, you know, I know the demographic of Dallas County or Tarrant County or whatever county I'm choosing a jury in, and you do everything accordingly. You dress accordingly, you wear your hair accordingly, you accessorize accordingly, you object accordingly, you carry yourself accordingly. In my real, actual personality, I tend to be quite aggressive. I'm not sure if you could have noticed that about me. But you wouldn't know that if you were a juror in front of me. I come across very kind, demure, you know. So the aesthetics of how the case is presented does, in fact, matter. Okay? And that is how we arrive on Monday morning in probably the ugliest jacket I have ever seen worn in a courtroom. I mean, this woman is at new lows, y'all. Like, who let her purchase this jacket? And then who said you could go in public in this jacket? And then who said wear this jacket in front of a jury? I don't know about y'all, but if I was on the jury and this is a jacket that you're showing up in, what the fuck? It's highlighter green, y'all. Who wears highlighter green? And it's a long jacket. It's not even like a regular length jacket. It's like an extra long highlighter green jacket. Like, who made that decision for her? She did, I'm sure. And I'm sure she thinks it was the best decision. She just thinks she's smart. She thinks she knows everything. Kat says she's trying to blind him. You're right. You know what, Kat? That's a good point. Maybe she's wearing highlighter green to distract them from the fact that none of the words that leave her mouth make any fucking sense. And neither does her case. Maybe that's what it is. She's trying to stop them from seeing the actual truth, which is she's got nothing. The other thing, I gotta say, when Atkins gets up and he like explains to the judge, this is why we need this evidence, I totally get it. I'm like, oh, they do have a case, and it actually makes sense. Miss Love gets up, and I swear to you, it's just like, we'll go around in circles, just like, what are we talking about? And it just is a nightmare. She is a nightmare. Okay, wait, she can't be running out of clothes. Like, you're allowed, in a multi-year long trial, you can wear the same outfit twice. You know, if I'm going for, the longest trial I ever did was like 3 days, okay? Obviously, in the 3-day trial, I'm not wearing the same outfit twice, period, end of story. No, no. No, not Lauren Cadilac. But if it's a year-long trial, I am absolutely going to end up wearing the same outfit more than once because I only have so many freaking clothes, you know, like I'd probably be able to not duplicate. But that would be on like a technicality, right? Like it would be like I wore this green shirt with these same pants, but I wore a different blazer every time. You see, the technicality is not exactly the same. Maybe I wore different accessories, you know, but I don't think in multi-year long trial. I mean, just I think she did, Julie, because if you recall, last week she had a blazer on just like this, but it was white. She wore it after the medical. I wear pattern, Cat, sometimes. You know, it just depends on what you're going for. You know, I like to wear flower patterns. And I think flower patterns look nice for a jury because when I'm going in front of a jury, I'm trying to be really nice and shit. You know, that side of me that doesn't actually exist comes out. So, Ty says, I understand why Matlock wore the same suit. Well, also, back in Matlock's day, like, clothes were very expensive. You know, clothes are only cheap now. Even when I was younger, clothes were way more expensive. So, you really only could afford one little suit. Maybe that's why everyone always wore navy, gray, and black. Because, like, you get one of each of those, then you don't have to buy a bunch of suits. I don't know. Anyhow, she looks like a walking highlighter, and I do not like it, okay? And I think it's a huge mistake. She does wear, she still wears a lot of pink, you guys. Like, she still wears a lot of pink. I do not know fashion, Julie. I don't know anything about designs or brands or anything like that. I just know that walking around looking like a giant highlighter is a bad idea. Okay, so on Monday, Sprinkle came back. Well, hold on. Before Sprinkle comes back, let's go see what's going on over here. All right, so here's... Now, this is a nice out. This is a really nice looking suit, y'all. This is the kind of thing I expect to see an attorney wear in a courtroom. Okay, we got no sound. Probably nothing going on. Yeah. I hate how, while we're on the topic, Miss D. Williams has been wearing this ridiculous houndstooth coat on and off for the whole trial, and I cannot stand it. I think it is so ugly, and I do not like it at all. And it's really not that cold in the courtroom. It's 67.8 degrees. So, yeah, dude, like, come on. Just get a black jacket, you know? Like, why has it got to be this... She looks like she's wearing a blanket, you know? Like, that's my problem with it. Okay, waiting around.
Or you had agreed would be out.
I did not forward those. There were,
And yeah, that's what you expected everybody to argue this morning without even knowing what those were. Could you please forward those at your earliest convenience so that we will know by lunchtime what it is that we're talking about?
absolutely.
Okay, Paige is a little irritated.
Excuse me, I didn't receive the transcript last night.
Well, she's agreed that she's not going to be using the transcript because nobody's had a chance to look at it, so
Thank you,
you don't need to worry about that.
Thank you.
But I don't know if somebody's going to be over here.
Yes, Rhonda, we call him YSL Silver Fox for a reason, okay?
Here to assist you later in the morning, but as soon as somebody gets here, you need to get that taken care of, okay?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, so is Mr. Sprinkle out there ready?
He said that he needed 10 minutes from the time that I reached him, so
Text him now and tell him he needs to get over here right now.
he is, Your Honor. He is coming. He
Text
literally...
him anyway and say the 10 minutes, he can't have any more time. He needs to stop what he's doing right now and come on. Because we have the jury waiting.
Yes, Your Honor.
Yes, Sprinkle.
And then while we wait, I guess you can go ahead and forward us those portions of the interview that you think.
And so we start Monday off with Miss Love hasn't done her damn job. She didn't forward the damn transcript. So fine, she says I'm not going to use it, okay. But it's like, when is this bitch going to do her job? When? Oh, and it gets worse. On Wednesday, it gets way worse. Way worse on Wednesday. Oh, Big Home Slick says he's out in Augusta helping out. That's wonderful. That is wonderful. I actually signed up for a temporary North Carolina bar. So they're asking attorneys to volunteer and do pro bono, help with like landlord, tenant, that kind of thing. So I actually just turned that in yesterday. Everything we can do to help our fellow Americans who have been affected by Hurricane Helene, I would love for us to do that. So, okay. All right. So, yes, Miss Love is always unprepared. She's always like 4 days behind. It makes me so irritated. She does it on purpose. We call this, what do we call this? Hold on. Weaponized ignorance. There it is. Weaponized ignorance. That is Miss Love's MO, yo. Here we go.
I think need reconsideration since we'll just be sitting here doing nothing otherwise.
Yes, Your Honor.
Thank you.
(2015) interview of Mr. Zachary.
Okay.
I believe.
So Sprinkle must have seen himself on TV and said, damn, that haircut's awful, because he definitely got a haircut between the last time we saw him and this time. All right, here we go with highlighter.
So yes, that would be the one.
Would you tell the jury what cell phone records or what cell phone numbers you found of interest after listening to the interviews?
Well, there would probably be a few.
That was leading, by the way.
But I do, and I can't recall off the top of my head what specific cell phone numbers were mentioned during each interview. For example, depending on the interview, the party may have identified their own cell phone number or somebody else's cell phone number. But the numbers that were primarily of interest to me were those for which Detective Tyrone Dennis obtained phone records. And the numbers that he obtained, I believe, were primarily, if not exclusively, from either A, the interviews that he conducted, or B, from cell phones that he found during the course of his investigation. He was able to forensically analyze and extract the number therefrom.
Now, you mentioned last time you were on the stand getting the videos or the surveillance videos enhanced, the ones from the Texaco and the barbershop.
Yes.
Was there any other surveillance footage that you were able to obtain that was not a part of the original file that Mr. Detective Thorpe gave to you? Is the surveillance footage from the Texaco and the barbershop the surveillance footage that you used in making your... If at all, are you
She is so annoying.
familiar with Sky House condominium?
I've been there before.
And based on what you know about Sky House condominium, are you able to tell the jury with respect to 510 why where it appears that that photograph was taken?
Your Honor, I'm going to object and ask for some additional clarification. Knowing where a location is versus where a window is, the two different things. I'd ask for further clarification.
Again, I don't know what he's going to say. He says he's been there. Can you develop that further before he testifies as to the question, like develop that he has the foundation to testify to that?
Yes. And I'm showing you what has already been admitted as Defense Stillwell Exhibit 4-4. Would you look at Defense Stillwell Exhibit 4-4?
Okay.
Is the photograph in Defense Stillwell Exhibit 4-4 the same photograph that is in State's Exhibit 510 Yankee?
It is.
Okay. She drives me freaking crazy. This, like her little walking in the front here, all of this is on purpose. She's doing all of this as a technique. This is something they teach you in mock trial. One thing that bugs the shit out of me about Miss Love is that she is treating this real life actual trial like a mock trial. When we start watching the cross-examination, I'll be able to show you more what I mean. The way she objects at everything. So in mock trial, you make every objection humanly possible because that gets you points, right? So you get like, oh yeah, possible objection, they used it. Possible objection, they used it. You know, you didn't miss that possible objection. In mock trial, you want to be up front. You want to be walking, you know, the front and managing the courtroom. We call this area the well. You want to have control over the well. This whole trial, I mean, even to the unpreparedness, even down to the fact that they are not prepared, the whole thing reads like mock trial. Except that when I was in mock trial, I was on with the Black Law Students Association, and we were national champions because we were better than this. As students, we were better than this. So she is mock trialing across this courtroom, and she's I can't stand it. I can't stand it. I don't mind watching mock trial, right? I would have no problem being a mock trial judge, anything like that. But that's out of kids. Those are students. It's mock trial, a fake trial. This is a real trial with real lives on the line.
Is there a date on Defense Stillwell Exhibit 4-4?
Yes, it appears that there would have been, but and I can tell because there's a little pop-out bubble that indicates that there was. But anyway, there was enough toner in the printer.
This is 403 and misleading the jury.
Sustained.
So DJ Sprinkle, when you pull social media records and you look at the actual records, is there anything about the record that will show you the date that posting was made?
Yes. So this defense exhibit 44 that you just handed me, so if you go to Instagram and you mouse over the information in a post that displays how old the post is. In this case,
It does what?
For example, on defense 44, it says 109W, with W standing for weeks. If you're actually at a computer and you stick your mouse cursor, position it over 109, a date will pop up. There will actually be the date when it was posted.
Okay. First of all, I didn't know that. Thank you, Mr. Sprinkle. I didn't know that. But secondly, I take issue with him saying this because he's not an Instagram expert. So to me, I would object that he is not qualified to talk about how Instagram works. They haven't proved him up as some kind of expert on Instagram and dates and shit like that. So the other thing is, and the reason the defense is better is because you have to be strategic in your objections. It's not mock trial, it's real trial. So the defense, even though they could object right here and be like, yo, he can't, who the f is he to talk about how Instagram works? They don't. Because it's not mock trial, it's real trial. And they could see the jury seeing them. They could see the jury seeing this love obnoxiously object every 2 freaking seconds. So they're reading the room, reading their audience. Would be a proper objection, but they don't do it.
Here I see a box immediately below 109W, except the box has nothing in it.
Okay.
So that looks to me like that would, if you were to screenshot it, take a picture of your screen digitally, while you're mousing over that, and I know this because I've done it many, many times, then you should see the date of the post. I know that because that's how I capture posts on Instagram. Here, I don't see that. I don't know if there wasn't enough toner in the printer or what's going on, but
I'm going to object.
Here comes the objection. Here comes Keith with the objection.
That's a speculation then.
About the toner in the printer.
There's no foundation for him to he's certainly not an expert on mousing over.
Well-
I would object that there's no
Bingo! There's your objection. There's the objection I thought we might hear.
foundation, and that it causes speculation.
Do you want to, sustained at this point.
Is that a picture?
Well, Your Honor, I have an
Oh.
objection as well. Seeing as now,
Okay, y'all. Shard looks so good in this suit. Oh my god. Honestly, I'm like going to go buy a black shirt and tie for my man, because who knew? Who knew? I didn't know. Who knew? It's like the turtleneck under the blazer. Oh my goodness. Oh my god. Oh my god. I'm gonna get the fan out. Ooh. Ooh. I'm gonna go Ross literally on my way home, y'all. Ooh. Now, y'all, contrast this with the walking fucking highlighter, who has some big Bo Peep bow on her neck. That's so weird looking. So you got Lil Bo Peep in a highlighter, and then you got black on black with the gray. Oh. No, you know what? I'm going to take my daughter shopping tomorrow after her little orthodontist appointment, and we're going to get my man a black button-up shirt and a black tie. Yo. Okay. So, my understanding is Shard is married to a woman of color, and I'm thinking black wife effect, y'all, and I think we're seeing it here. I think we're seeing it here, okay? And I want to thank Mrs. Shard. I want to thank you, Mrs. Shard. You're doing a great job. It's doing God's work out here. All the women who are helping support these men wear these great outfits, thank you. Thank you. You're the real heroes here, okay? George, Mom, turn up my bed. Look, I got my little... Thank the real heroes. Mrs. Shard, Mrs. Steele, Mrs. Adams, Mrs. Weinstein. Y'all. Woo! Mrs. Matthews. Thank you, ladies. Doing God's work out here. Okay. I digress. and then, I mean, honestly though, compare this. This dude's got 3-piece. Matthews has 3-piece suit, matches. He's got the vest. Then you got Shard standing up, black on black, and then you got a walk-in highlighter with a little Bo Peep.
A foundation's been laid. I'd ask the court to instruct the jury as to why that box is blank.
Overruled.
And, Your Honor, if I may ask for assistance from Mr. Kokomo, who, to display defense.
You'll come up here for a minute.
Excuse me? No, you may not ask for assistance from Mr. Kokomo, bitch. That's my employee. Okay. She's got a lot of gall, y'all. Trying to ask for Kokomo's assistance. Get out of here. All
Mind if I
right.
see that real quick? There is. Y'all ends know me, Santana voice. Hashtag maniac back. All one word, spelled MANIAC-BACK with no punctuation in between the maniac and the back.
That outfit is awful.
And is the photograph or the posting on the screen what you just read to and described for the jury, if we could blow it up?
Yes, that's it.
And the black box.
Okay, I need to have a very serious and real conversation here. If y'all have been watching my show, you know I'm not really like a hip-hop. I don't listen to a lot of hip-hop. Growing up, if I needed to throw up, I would call it yakking. Like, oh, I'm gonna yak. Not toss my cookies. Maybe I say barf. I say barf. But I pretty much switched between yak and barf. Those are the two words, yak and barf. They mean the same thing to me. Why does he call himself Yak Gotti? It's like Barf Gotti? Like, I don't understand that. I don't get it. I even Googled, like, and then I Urban Dictionary'd yak, which is something any of these detectives could have done. And Urban Dictionary agreed with me. It means throw up. So, like, what the hell? Why is that like a rap name, guys? Does anyone know? Like, I know Montana comes from that movie. Shit. Scarface. So, and then Gotti, I'm assuming, is like the Gotti family. But, like, oh, yak like cognac? No, look, Tavonda, I went to Urban Dictionary and I looked up yak and it said barf. It did say cognac, though. It did. Hey, nomenclature. Okay, cognac. Yeah, that's right. Thank you. Yak means barf. Coffee Love had a dog named Throw Up. That's funny. Oh, because he's sick with the flow. Yak is a type of animal. I would not drink yak because growing up it is a barf. The last thing I would drink is yak.
Box at the top.
A lot of interesting contributions here. So a lot of you are as confused as I am. Oh, slick tongue yak. I got that. But that's also not like in my mind, that's not like the greatest name. All right, let's go to Keith Adam and just like listen to him destroy Sprinkle. Well, I think Mootung is like an Asian nickname, but I could be wrong.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to reserve the opportunity to, after putting up a different witness, call this witness back to the stand. But at this time, this concludes this portion of the examination of this witness.
All right. Do any of the defendants want to?
Oh my God. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to put I'm going back because she said so many fucking words. Hold on.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to reserve the opportunity to, after putting up a different witness, call this witness back to the stand.
At this time, I would like to reserve the opportunity to put up. this witness after calling a different witness.
But at this time,
to the
this concludes this
stand.
portion of the examination of this
But at
witness.
this time, this concludes this portion of the examination. Guess what she could have just said? Your Honor, I pass the witness. Your Honor, at this time, I would like to reserve the ability to call this witness back after the next witness, blah, 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 blah. And she could have just said, I pass the witness. Let's do it one more time. Let's listen to all these words. I pass the witness.
Your Honor, at this time, I would like to reserve the opportunity to, after putting up a different witness, call this witness back to the stand. But at this time, this concludes this portion of the examination of this witness.
All right. Do any of the
Okay,
defendant?
so she used like 35 words to say 4. I pass the witness. 4 words. She used 35. So for me, I don't do well with that. Like that, me and my personality and the way my brain functions, I don't like that. I don't like that at all. So if I was the judge in this case, I would be like, ma'am, when you can use 4 words, do that. Don't waste my time with 35. Like, that shit drives me nuts. I'll pass the witness. That's all you have to say. Pass the witness. Passing the witness means I'm handing him off. I could call back, but I'm handing him off for now. I learned in my life and through writing and, assignments, the fewer words to say something, the better. I feel like we all learned that in law school. So, like, I don't understand the disconnect here.
And it's want to cross-examine at this stage. All right, go ahead, Mr. Adams.
All right. Tavonda, here comes your boo. A lot of y'all crush on Mr. Adams. He's a lovely man. I met him when I was there, but I'm not gonna lie, he's like my height, which is like 5'5". Really nice guy though. Really nice. Good lawyer. Now, I don't judge a man by his height, but I'm just letting y'all know in case you do. Oh, but also he's married, so. Uncle's unknown.
All right. Mr. Sprinkle, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well, doing well. All right, as I understand it, and you and I have met before, is that true?
Yes.
All right. You are a deputy district attorney with the Fulton County District Attorney's Office.
I am.
You have been so employed, as you've indicated in your testimony, for since 2013. Does that sound about right?
2011.
2011. Okay. One of the things that you talked about initially, I think your testimony perhaps when you were here last, was your specific role in regards to reviewing case files.
Yes.
Recall that. I heard you say, and you tell me if this is accurate, that sometimes when a file comes to you from an investigating agency, that it is not always, in your words, complete.
Yes.
And you testified, did you not, that it would be your job or your duty, your responsibility to do some additional work. That may not be the word you use. You may have said investigation. I'm not sure.
I understand. Yes. If it's not complete insofar as we don't believe that it would be appropriate to present to a grand jury and subsequently a trial.
Right. Because of course, your interest as an assistant district attorney.
Also, I just have to point out, I am a nerd, so I say this with all the love of nerds, but oh my god, Sprinkle is such a fucking nerd, dude. He is such a nerd. Oh, he's so nerdy. Watch how Sprinkle's answer was so just well put together and all that. Watch how he falls apart as Adams does his cross-examination.
Is to make sure that cases are properly put before the court or put before a jury. True?
Correct.
And in fact, when you, one of your duties as a district attorney is to make sure that there is sufficient evidence or appropriate evidence presented in a case that goes before a court, goes before a jury. Correct?
Yes.
All right. Because it is important to make sure that people who need to be prosecuted are prosecuted, right?
Yes.
It is important to make sure that people who should not be prosecuted are not prosecuted.
That's correct.
You do not want, and your duty, I believe, encompasses this, you do not want to have someone charged or arrested or their freedom taken for an offense that they did not commit. True?
Your Honor, that's an answer in.
Overruled.
Why would you object to that question? He is asking the government, like, you would never want something untruthful on the stand. Why would you object to that? You want Sprinkle to answer that. Yeah, you want the jury to have confidence in your investigators.
Is that true?
That's true.
Okay. And so I want to talk to you about a number of things, but I want to start by asking if I'm correct that when you came into this case in 2016, the case had already been with Detectives Gaither, Dennis, and Thorpe, right?
That's correct. Those were the detectives that primarily were the ones that I knew of that had been working on it, yes.
Work had already been done on the case as far as you knew.
Yes.
In fact, people had already been arrested in this case.
Yes.
And I'm talking specifically about Donovan Thomas's murder.
That's right.
All right. Because that's what you were looking at.
That's right.
And so you knew by the time that you came into this that there were 4 people who were sitting in the Fulton County Jail who had been charged by the detectives whose name we just referenced with the murder of Donovan Thomas.
That's right.
Kenneth Copeland, Shannon Stillwell. Who else?
Antonio Sledge and Demiki and Garlington.
All right. Those people, as far as you knew when you picked up this file, had already been investigated by the detectives, true?
That's true.
And by the way, you had worked previously. I mean, you knew who detectives Gaither, Dennis, and Thorpe were. You know who they were.
Yeah, I knew who they were, yes.
You worked with them previously.
I had.
Right? And so you came into this with people arrested, believing that the work had been done properly to have these 4 folks in the Fulton County Jail, right?
Well, that was my hope.
Right, right. That turned out not to be the case, right?
Correct.
In fact,
Okay, did you see that? Love looked like she might begin to object. Saint Nikki Hilton, I know that's not her name, but that's what we call her here. Saint Nikki Hilton, gently. Again, the reason she became Saint Nikki Hilton, patron saint of courtroom patients, is because she has not slammed her elbow into Miss Love's throat like many of us would have by now, okay? Because working next to that woman who's constantly it's just like your elbow does it and you don't have control of your body, right? But not Saint Nikki, man. Saint Nikki is so patient. She's so gentle in her hand wave. I don't do well with people like Miss Love. Bree, it's in fast motion because I don't have all of eternity to spend with y'all, although it would be lovely.
tell me if this is right. I think you testified to this, that there was the interview of this gentleman named Spencer Wright in, what was it, October the 19th of 2015?
That sounds right, yes.
All right. And that
2015.
interview,
Did you say 2015?
2015?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And that interview was done by Detective Thorpe, correct?
Correct.
And the next day, the 20th, is when Detective Thorpe went in front of a judge and got an arrest warrant for the 4 people whose names we've just mentioned.
Yes, yes, that's correct.
Whoa, whoa,
And those 4 people
whoa.
were...
Sprinkle gets to type on the computer, but QZ, they move the computer? Did you see him? He just typed something. Did you see that?
were arrested and put in jail as a result of the investigative work that had been done by those detectives whose names we've just referenced.
Well, when we say those detectives, I would not, Detectives Gaither and Dennis, I wouldn't group them into that. It was Detective Thorpe that was the affiant on the arrest warrants for Mr. Sledge, Mr. Garland, Mr. Copeland, and Mr. Jackson, a.k.a. Mr. Sitwell.
Right, so one person swore out the warrant. That was Detective Thorpe, right?
That's correct.
But you're certainly aware that over the course of the investigation from January of 2015 to the time that Thorpe went and took out that arrest warrant in October of 2015, that he had communication and collaboration with Detectives Dennis and Detective Gaither. You know that, right?
Well, he sat in on interviews with them, some of these interviews that we've discussed or I discussed on direct. So, yeah, and they work for the same agency, so yes, I would say yes.
Right, and looking at your, what you termed, maybe we termed, the Sprinkle Report, right, where you kind of reviewed this case, looking at
The Sprinkle Report.
that report, you know that there were times when, for example, Thorpe would go and consult with either Gaither or Dennis about a particular individual that they were investigating. True?
I don't. It would seem like it would seem that would be the common sense thing that would have happened. And I'm not trying to be difficult, but I don't know what kind of conversations Detective Thorpe had with Detective Gaither and/or Detective Dennis.
Okay, well, here's a for instance.
See that? He's starting to stutter. He starts stuttering.
You know that there were interviews of Kenneth Copeland where Thorpe, Gaither, and Dennis were all present.
Yes.
Right? And in fact, what was it, 10 hours worth of interviews of Kenneth Copeland?
There was one interview that was over 9 hours long. So, and there were multiple interviews with him. So it was over 9 hours.
Okay.
Suffice to say.
Right, so getting back to my, the question I asked a little while ago, you certainly had information that these 3 detectives, Thorpe may have been the one who took out the warrant, right?
Yes.
But these 3 detectives were in contact and communication with each other in regards to Donovan Thomas's murder. You knew that.
Yes.
Right. And ultimately, what happened is that they arrested the wrong people, didn't they?
As to
Vagueness and the word they.
Sustained.
Okay. Ultimately,
Excuse me.
the warrant that Detective Thorpe with the
Hold the fuck on. I have this rule that we don't use pronouns because I can never follow who the fuck he or she is. There's 8 women we're talking about and you're saying she. It's like I don't know which she you mean. So I have a very, like, don't use pronouns around me. It irritates me. Just say people's names. Our mothers gave us names for a reason, right? But here, I understood who they were. I'm following along. He says they. He's talking about Detective Thorpe and, not Sprinkle, Gaither and the other dude. Peanut, squirrel nut brain. Whatever his name. If I can figure out who they are, everyone knows who they are, right? Like, I have such a hard time following pronouns. Like, I just can't follow what you mean. But I followed that. So if I can follow that, that's not vague. Whatever.
Atlanta Police Department, after consulting or talking to Gaither and Dennis, took out for these 4 individuals, charged the wrong people with the murder of Donovan Thomas, correct?
To that question, Your Honor.
Sustained.
Okay. Lil pill. I noticed the sleevebags too. I said, why is this woman's feet coming out of these shoes? Why is she wearing these shoes that are clearly half the size of the foot and not fully supporting the ankle? I'm glad I wasn't the only one that got that.
When you one of the things that you did when you first began to kind of look into what had happened in this matter is that you realized, and you said this in your report. If I'm wrong, maybe I'm reading it wrong. You correct me, okay?
Okay.
But one of the things that you said in your report is that it seemed as though the arrest of these individuals and by the way, these folks were arrested. I mean, they weren't just like suspected; they were actually put in jail, right?
We got that.
Okay.
Go ahead and ask your question.
All right, get in there. You said that this was almost entirely based on the statement of Mr. Spencer Wright.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. And it turned out that Detective Thorpe, or whoever else was involved, did a ridiculously poor job of vetting or looking into Spencer Wright's statement. Isn't that true?
Well, there was surveillance video that Mr. Wright said he was a specific place, and there was video that would have showed whether or not he was there. That apparently was not inspected very closely prior to obtaining arrest warrants.
All right, well, in terms of not investigated fully, Spencer Wright, Thorpe spoke to Spencer Wright on the 19th of October, right?
Yes.
Now, when you came into the case, one of the first things that you thought to do was to really examine the statement from Mr. Wright. Is that true?
Yes.
And you did so?
I did.
And you spoke to him?
I did.
One of the second or third things that you did, right, just using some common sense, was to go and look for video around the location where you thought Spencer Wright would have been, right?
That's right.
And you did that?
I did.
And you were able to find it?
I was.
And it was pretty easy?
It was.
Detective Thorpe, before arresting folks based on your words, almost entirely the statement of Spencer Wright, never took the time to even go look for video where Spencer Wright supposedly would have been, did he?
Well, that I don't know. You would have to ask Detective Thorpe that.
Well, did you? Did you ask Detective Thorpe that?
Oh. I'm sure I did.
Let me guess. The answer was that he had not done it, right?
I remember the answer he gave at the preliminary hearing about the video.
Okay. Well, let me ask you this. When you come into the case in 2016, was there any video that had been procured from that location? By Detective Thorpe? Where the bus stop, where Spencer Wright
Yes.
would have been?
Yes.
Was there?
Yes, there was a video camera, and in the viewable area of that camera was the bus stop where Mr. Wright said that he was standing at the time of the homicide.
Right. Had anyone gotten that video?
Yes.
Who did?
It was the specific investigator was probably either Frederick Page or Teague, Jason Teague, but ultimately it wound up in the possession of Detective Thorpe.
Okay. Before these 4 individuals were arrested or after?
Before.
Okay. And so even having the videotape that you looked at and that you made a determination was pivotal in the arrest or the case, even having that information, Detective Thorpe still went ahead and swore out the warrant for the wrong people on October 20th?
That's right.
Oh! Let me just replay that real quick for you there.
Arrest or the case. Even having that information, Detective Thorpe still went ahead and swore out the warrant for the wrong people on October 20th?
That's right.
I wish I had one of those little machines that DJs have, you know, and then I could have a. I'm gonna play that for y'all one more time.
Tape that you looked at and that you made a determination was pivotal in the arrest or in case. Even having that information, Detective Thorpe still went ahead and swore out the warrant for the wrong people on October 20th?
That's right.
Don't none of y'all think you're immune to this either. Don't think for 1 second that the government couldn't pull some bullshit like this on you. Don't think for 1 minute that it's not every police department in the entire United States doing some bullshit like this. Oh, except maybe that one police department where there's like only 2 people in the whole town, so the cop is like, the sheriff is a dog. Maybe they're not doing some shit like this. Maybe. He knew these were not the correct or appropriate suspects and took out warrants against them anyhow, which means he lied to a magistrate judge about the level of probable cause he had. There is no other way to have gotten a warrant except that he lied on the record. They do this every day to Americans across the nation. I'm glad that y'all are getting to see this, that we are highlighting this. We are paying for these people to issue warrants against us when they know we're innocent. And when I say we're paying, I'm talking about my tax dollars, y'all, because I pay taxes. Fucking gross.
So, after you realized that Thorpe had not done what should have been done in the case, right? You went a little bit further, and you got some recorded phone calls of Spencer Wright, true?
I did.
And you were able to listen to those calls, and I'm not asking what was said, the contents of those calls. You were able to listen to those, right?
I did.
And those were also instrumental in convincing you that here we are in 2016, that the wrong decision had been made by the detective, right?
That's correct.
Okay. And so, would I be correct, sir, that you then, realizing as an assistant district attorney charged with the duties that we just talked about, used all deliberate speed at that point and said, you know what, detectives messed it up, got the wrong people in jail, we got to get them out of jail right now.
Yeah, well, I disclosed all of this to the defense attorneys at the time. I can't remember if they, well, Antonio Sledge got out of jail pretty quick because that case was just thrown out at the preliminary hearing. The other ones, I would have to review the record. I know that, well, I'll just leave it at, I don't, if they were in jail, I don't know if it was just on this or other things, I just don't know.
Okay.
Hear all that stuttering? So Adam says you did what you're required to do by law and let them know. Oh, which means no, he didn't. He didn't do it.
Did you do, what do you call it down here in Fulton? Is it an MPGJ, not presented to the grand jury when you dismiss a case?
Yeah, it's a form. It's I don't know what it, I don't remember what it basically says. We're not presenting the case. The evidence is not sufficient. We're not presenting. That is, the DA's office is not presenting the case to the grand jury at this time.
Okay. And so when you realized what had happened in this case, when did you file such a form?
Well, so that would have been the elected DA at the time, Paul Howard, that would have authorized or maybe have even signed that himself. But Kenneth Copeland, well, no, I believe that was done with Kenneth Copeland.
When?
I don't recall the date.
Does 2017 sound about right?
Yes,
Okay.
it does. I don't.
What the? 2 years later, you did the right thing? This is our government, y'all. This is our government, y'all.
That, again, I don't recall the exact date, but that does sound about right. Mr. Sledge, this was thrown out like January 2016, I believe, whenever the preliminary hearing was. And as far as Garlington, and well, Stillwell, Jackson, aka Mr. Stillwell's, was never thrown out. And as for Mr. Garlington, I don't know. I don't know if there was an MPGJ filed on him or not. There should have been.
Okay.
Why wouldn't you know? If there should have been, and you're the lawyer who knew it, and it's your law license on the line, why didn't you verify?
As you're reviewing the evidence in the case, and we just talked about Spencer writing that information, you talked earlier and you asked questions about this other video that you looked for. Remember that?
I did.
And you remember a little while ago you asked questions about video from the Texaco gas station.
Yes.
Okay. You remember, and I think you testified, that there was this video that you received, or that you were able to review, of vehicles at the Texaco gas station not far from the barbershop around the time that the incident occurred, right?
That's correct.
You talked earlier, if I'm right, about this Pontiac Bonneville, right?
That's correct.
You talked about other vehicles that you saw, correct?
Correct.
You talked about individuals that you saw there at the at that gas station, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
You were asked by the prosecutor whether you saw Kenneth Copeland on any of those videos. Remember that question?
I do remember it.
Your answer was no.
That's right.
Because you did not see Kenneth Copeland at that gas station, that Texaco, sometime around the time that the murder occurred, right?
That's correct.
Right. You weren't asked, so I'm asking you whether you saw Jeffrey Williams on that video at the Texaco at around the time that the murder occurred.
Great question.
Did you?
No, I didn't see Jeffrey Williams on there, no.
No.
And you looked at the entirety of the video, right?
I did.
I think I heard you say that, I don't know if you said all of them. A lot of videos, you went back and looked at them multiple times, right? Mm-hmm. So, January 10th, 2015, somewhere between, let's say, 6-something and 6:50 and 7:30, the time that you looked at the Texaco, Jeffrey Williams is not on any video, getting out of any car, getting into any car at the Texaco down the street from the barbershop, true?
That's true.
Okay. I heard you say that one of the things that interested you when you looked at that video at the Texaco is that you saw an Infinity. You know what I'm saying that?
Yes.
Okay. And you became interested in doing some additional research or investigation on that Infinity vehicle. You remember that?
I do, but actually, I think that if we're talking about when I decided to do certain things, I may have actually conducted additional research on the Infinity before.
Okay, someone on, I'm going to call it Twitter. I don't want to call it X, because when you say, like, oh, I'm on X, that sounds like you're doing drugs. I know I sound like a middle-aged mother, right? I am a middle-aged mother. I'm OG Cadillac, Lauren Cadillac. I got on the damn Twitter because of Boleyn and Thugger Daily, and I blame the two of them. And it's called X now. So I'm on X. And someone commented about how Miss Love has completely, like, turned her computer, right? And they're like, we weren't trying to see what was on your screen for the first 138 days, ma'am. We don't care today. But I do agree, I think her and Sprinkle are messaging with each other on Teams or something.
Or it caught my attention on the Texaco footage. I can't remember the exact, but just to be precise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it was probably around that time, but yeah.
But one of the things that we know for a fact is that you determined that you wanted to get more information about this rental vehicle, right?
Yes, that's right.
And you did. You and or your investigator made contact with the folks at Hertz, right?
It started with me when I sent the subpoena to Hertz, and then after that, after receiving some documents from a woman named Carolyn Fry, then I asked David White to travel to the location where the vehicle was rented and speak with the staff at that location.
Okay. So let me ask you some very specific questions about any information that you gleaned about that rental vehicle. You testified earlier that one of the things you were able to determine is that the vehicle was rented in the name of Jeffrey Williams. Is that what you said?
Yes.
Right. You were not able to determine who was that actually rented the vehicle, just that it was in the name of Jeffrey Williams. Isn't that right?
Okay. Look at Keith Adams' posture. Look how incredibly comfortable he is. He is open and facing to the jury. He's got the hand in the pocket. His feet are crossed. That man owns that podium. Okay? He is inviting the answers. This, how he's turned open to the jury and the witness like this says, I want to know what you're saying. Jury, I'm not afraid of this man's answers. I have no problem with what he's about to tell you. That's what that says. Such confidence. And so different than Highlighter, right? Highlighter walking across the room. Huge difference.
It was in the name of Jeffrey Williams, his driver's license number, and his signature. There's a signature as well.
Now, tell me the date that vehicle was rented.
From what I remember, January 7th, 2015.
All right, so that would have been 3 days before January 10th of 2015, correct?
That's right.
All right. Now,
Who the fuck is he
Tell-
talking? He's typing, he's clicking his mouse. You know, if that's his report and he's reading his report, I could see scrolling the mouse. What are you clicking? What are you typing?
if you can, who had possession of that vehicle on January the 8th of 2010?
2015?
Let's say 2010? 2015, yes.
Yes, I don't know.
You don't know who had possession of that vehicle on January the 9th of 2015?
I do not know.
And you certainly don't know who had possession of the vehicle, no personal knowledge of who had possession of that vehicle on January the 10th, 2015.
If we're talking about actual possession, the
Actual possession.
then no, I do not know.
Okay. You never strike that. By the time you came into this case, that rental vehicle, I mean, it had been at this point, what, a year since the incident? We're talking January 2016 is when you're in this case?
Yes, I obtained the records from Hertz in 2016. It would have been over a year. It would have been around April of 2016 when I obtained the records from Hertz.
Okay. Now, I want to ask you about some of the things you did not do. Okay.
Okay.
You referenced earlier there were a lot of numbers being phone numbers being kind of, I won't say thrown at you, but put in front of you in terms of where you were able to get information on this phone number and that phone number, the frequency of communication. Is that, you remember those questions?
I do.
And you did in fact have the ability to procure phone records by way of either subpoena or search warrant or court order.
That's correct.
Okay. You were able to get a lot of different phone numbers on people that you thought, or individuals you thought might have been of some interest in the case. Is that fair?
That's fair.
Okay. You also, when you request those phone records, you have the ability to request cell site or cell tower information, correct?
That's correct.
Now, and I know you're not an expert, but you are familiar with utilizing, maybe with an expert, cell site and cell tower information to try and make a determination as to where someone might have, or where a phone might have been at a particular time. True?
Yeah, I'm pretty familiar with plotting cell phone records. I'm not like an FBI task team member or anything like that, but I can hold my own.
Right. So having listened to Kenneth Copeland's statements, and you did that, right? Having listened to his statements, one of the things that you would have wanted to do, I presume, I'm asking, is try and determine whether or not you could corroborate certain information in his statement. Is that about right?
That's about right.
All right. He gave, like we said, at least one 9-hour statement, and he gave a lot of statements. There's a lot to listen to from Kenneth Copeland.
Yes.
And he gave information that you would have used to follow up in your investigation.
That's correct.
Right? The name Demekian Garlington came up in your investigation. Is that right?
Yes.
Right. There was this reference, in listening to Kenneth Copeland's statements, there was this reference to a conversation, phone calls that he would have had with Garlington, right?
That's correct.
And it would have been some interest to you to figure out whether or not what Kenneth Copeland was saying, not just about that, but everything was corroboratable, was true.
Yes.
Right? Or whether Kenneth Copeland was lying to y'all, lying to the detectives, not y'all, because he already been interviewed, right?
Right, that's right.
Because you consider him to be a pivotal witness in the case.
Yes.
Right? And some of the things that he said you would have considered to be pivotal things that you want to follow up on, right?
Yes.
And if you have a witness, just like Spencer Wright, for example, if you have a witness who you think has pivotal information, but that witness is proven to be a liar, that's something that you want to know in regards to the investigation, true?
That's true.
And one of the things you could have done in regards to Kenneth Copeland and any statements he said, phone calls he said he may have had with someone named Demekian Garlington, is you could have gotten Garlington's phone records to determine whether or not those communications took place, right?
That is correct.
And also where Mr. Garlington was to see whether that comports with what Kenneth Copeland said, right?
That is correct.
Now, you got Kenneth Copeland's information, his phone information, right?
I did.
You got his location, so you knew, or at least the phone, where that phone was at certain times on the night of January 10th, 2015, right?
Well, to be specific, what you see with tower data is the tower and the side of the tower that the phone
Sure.
utilizes. That can be a pretty large area. In a city with a lot of cell phone towers everywhere, you get a little bit of a better idea, but I just want to make sure that we're clear that it's not the exact location of the phone.
Sure. Not the exact, I mean, can't pinpoint within feet or maybe not even within a block, but it was important enough to you to get that information on Kenneth Copeland, on the phone that you thought was being used by Kenneth Copeland, right?
Yes.
Now, you did reach out to get information on Garlington's phone, or what you thought was Garlington's phone, right?
There was a number that I thought may have been Garlington's number.
Sure.
And I believe I referenced that in my report, and if correct me if I'm wrong, I believe it was maybe a Sprint number, or maybe I can't remember exactly. It wasn't in his name. I was never, the short answer to your question is I was never able to get tower data for Demekian Garlington.
Well, it's not that you weren't able to get tower data. You requested the data for that phone number and specifically requested it without the tower usage logs. Isn't that right?
Yes, so there was a number that was in Kenneth Copeland's records, came back, I want to say, to a female. Now, and I remember, and this is, I'm thinking, and unless there's something that can refresh my recollection, from what I remember, I couldn't prove, it's one thing to get call logs are very easy to get, you don't need probable cause for those, but to get location data, you need probable cause. And I remember, from what I recall, I didn't think that I had probable cause to get tower location data for this number. Usually I'll try to do something.
Okay. So Adams is just chiseling away. So you got this data, but you didn't get that data. You got this data, but you didn't get that data. You got this, and he's chopping away, and the witness is getting. I didn't have probable cause. I couldn't. This is why I didn't do it. So Adams is really accomplishing his goal here. Very well, he is, because this witness is like, oh, but I swear I did my job. Love it.
Like, there's a number of things. Like if I find a jail call to the number and I hear the voice that picks up, I say, oh, well, that corroborates that number is in fact that person's number. Or if somebody cites it on their Instagram page and says, call me on this number, that's going to give me the probable cause that that's that number. But if it's just that it comes, well, it's in temporal proximity, and I think there was another issue with the retention period of the number. All I know is I didn't think I had probable cause. I never got probable cause to get the tower record.
That was a lot of words. That was a lot of words to say I didn't have probable cause. It was a lot of words.
Let's work backwards a little bit, right? Let's start with this. When you sent out the request for the records that you thought was a number to Demekian Garlington,
Yes.
you requested those records specifically without tower usage logs, right?
I did.
Okay. Now, you had previously requested records for what you thought was Kenneth Copeland's phone number with the tower usage logs, right?
I don't know that it was me that did that. It may have been investigator or Detective Dennis that did that.
Right, but one thing that you knew, I mean, you honed in on the fact that there was supposedly this call between Kenneth Copeland and Demikian Garlington, and they were supposed to be at a specific place on the night of January 10, 2015. Isn't that right?
That's correct.
Right. And so you had listened to Kenneth Copeland's statements, and you knew from Copeland's statements that he made reference to Wade Garlington, who was an important witness to you, right?
It was.
Right. You knew that Copeland had made reference in his hours of statements about this conversation and the location of Garlington, who was an important witness. You knew that?
That's right.
Right. And so you still didn't think that that was enough for you to go ahead and try to verify whether Kenneth Copeland was lying through his teeth or not by getting Garlington's tower usage log.
I will say one other thing.
Your Honor, may we approach?
Yes.
He is killing it. And the witness is so uncomfortable. The witness is having to defend the work he did 8 years ago or whatever it was. And yeah, it looks like he didn't do his job. It looks like he's lazy. We don't know. I mean, it was 8 years ago. Who knows why he didn't actually do these things? Who knows? But Adams is cooking the dude. And you can see Sprinkle get more and more uncomfortable. Look, he's starting to turn red.
Okay.
Fun to watch.
Do you recall, you had an opportunity to listen to statements by various individuals in this case. Now I'm going to hone in on Quindarius Zachary. You had a chance to listen to his statement?
I did.
Okay. And you're aware that Detective Dennis had a conversation with Quindarius Zachary, is that right?
He and I both, well, there were a couple of them. During one of them, he and I both did.
You sat in, right, on one, but that's not what I'm getting at. I'm asking whether or not you had an opportunity to listen to any statements between Mr. Zachary and Dennis prior to your involvement in the case.
Yes.
Judge, may I have one moment, please?
Okay.
Right, I'm speaking specifically in January of 2015.
That's right.
Okay. You obtained numbers that you believe belong to Jeffrey Williams.
Yes.
Okay. You obviously, as we've discussed before, obtained numbers that you believe belong to Kenneth Copeland.
Yes. Well, Kenneth Copeland, I believe that was somebody else, but when you say you obtain, I'm speaking, what I'm saying is I reviewed records. So either I or a DA's office investigator obtained them or some law enforcement investigator obtained them, or if I obtained them via subpoena, et cetera.
Sure. And I don't, and listen, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong. And when I'm saying you obtained, I'll tell you later, you had a chance to review.
Yes.
Okay. You had a chance to review phone records that you believe belong to, as we talked about before, Mr. Demikian Garlington, is that right?
There were records for Demikian Garlington. Yes, but they didn't cover the night of the murder. But yes, there was also, and I think we talked about this already, a number that.
There were records. Yes, but they didn't cover the night of the murder. But we talked about this. But yes. The answer is just yes. He's so uncomfortable. He's adding so many words.
I found in Mr. Copeland's phone records that I believed was Demikian Garlington's, but I never got to probable cause.
So here's my question, right? Focusing now on Jeffrey Williams, the number you believe belong to Jeffrey Williams.
There were a few.
And Kenneth Copeland, all right?
Okay.
There are, and I'm talking now about the night of the murder, January 10, 2015. There are 0 calls. I mean, 0 as in nothing, none, zilch. 0 calls between Kenneth Copeland and Jeffrey Williams. Isn't that true?
That sounds correct to me. There's obviously, the phone records can be voluminous.
That sounds correct to me. It's a lot of records, though, so maybe I'm wrong because they're voluminous. Adams is cooking Sprinkle.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going off of my memory from. I feel like I would remember something like that. I'm also refreshing my recollection by looking at my report from the excerpts I placed in the report, and and specifically I included Kenneth Copeland's phone records, the relevant portion from the night of the murder. And matter of fact, I'm looking at it right now. Yes, there are no phone calls to Jeffrey Williams.
Okay.
Ah!
What about phone calls between?
All those words. Yes, there are no phone calls. Then all the words. Then yeah, I'm looking at it, and there are no phone calls. Hey, Purple Paradox. I was guessing it was you, Paradox True. So welcome. Sorry you had to get a new YouTube, but glad you're here.
Demikian Garlington and Jeffrey Williams.
No, I don't believe so either. No.
0 phone calls.
That's right.
Wiretaps.
Okay.
That it was at the court's direction that the box was blank because it hadn't.
I like Thug's hair. I like how he got it. I don't know. Someone styled it back for him. It looks really nice.
At the time been established what the box meant.
Your Honor.
Will that work? Yes, no?
Yes, that would be
Okay.
great. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, that requirement of the court was not on the defendants. They objected to that box being shown. The state had no objection. So inasmuch as the objection leveled by Mr. Stillwell is what the court based that on, and the state did not have an objection, and the state actually explained what it was, and Mr. Stillwell could have very well put that date in the box.
No, Mr. Stillwell could not have. At that point, there was an objection to it. I will give that instruction, and I'm also going to instruct that the state may not in any way attempt to argue that Mr. Stillwell was trying to hide anything by having that box on there blank. Understand? And I'm not saying you would, but just want to make that clear. Understand?
I think, yes, Your Honor.
Okay.
Okay. that
I
was
would
like
also, let's see.
Monday, and it was, oh my god, just like pulling teeth. You know, everybody cooked in their cross. It was beautiful. Let's see. Let's just see what Mr. Steele says here quick, and then we'll go to Tuesday. Cause, ooh, Red Bunny, thank you so much for the $9.99 super chat. Thank you, thank you, thank you. How wonderful of you. All right, so let's see what Steele says, and then we'll pop on to Tuesday, and then Wednesday I want to spend a lot of time on because Wednesday was really crazy. Thank you, Red Bunny.
Okay. All right. It's fine. It's not going to cause us problems. To use the primary system, it seems like it's back up and working again. All right. Well, I mean, you're the one who also wanted the restroom break, but I can listen.
And thank you. So, Your Honor, I'm objecting to a wholesale playing except for what the court redacted from Mr. Zachary's August 5, 2015 video audio recording interrogation. And there's Georgia cases that I have at my fingertips as well. But the first one is L, as in laughter, K as in kitten, L as in laughter versus Ellington, ELLINGTON. Your Honor, it's 2018 United States District Court Lexus numbers 208774, decided December 10, 2018. And in that case, the district court wrote that the trial court ruled that because AL's statement during the CAC, the Child Advocacy Center interview, was hearsay, and the prosecution had not introduced the interview, counsel could only introduce those portions of the interview where AL made an inconsistent statement, not the entire interview. And that's what I'm saying. Here, the state, and I raised this at your bench 3 times. I said what I foresee is that the state is not introducing the interrogation, either one, there were 2. They're going to not use Mr. Zachary, and they're going to put it up with another witness, and you said, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens in the future. Well, that's exactly how it played out, and it's my...
Okay, Steele said, look, on 3 occasions, I made this objection. I told you this is what they're trying to do, or they're trying to do this, and Judge, you said, well, let's see how it goes, and it went exactly how I told you it would go.
opinion that if there are true inconsistent statements, there's really inconsistent statements, then I understand that. And it comes in under 24.801 D1A, because it would not be hearsay because it would relate back to OCGA 24-6-613, prior inconsistent statement. But the state does not have a Kenneth Copeland where he would just say, yeah, I don't remember if I said it, but I lied. They have Mr. Zachary saying, I said that, I'm a liar, but I said that. And that's different than the just, I'm a liar, I don't remember, I don't recall. So unless the state can go piece by piece on what is an inconsistent statement, I'm objecting to just having a trial by prior recordings. The state then puts it on the accused and said that, well, we objected to it taking so long to the state going through the entire interview. The state was asking about, how old are you? Do you have a brother? Where do you live?
Yes.
I mean, all this just page by page, but they did not hit the specific statements that are now deemed inconsistent statements, and I'm objecting to the wholesale playing of a recording, and the witness is gone. That's my objection. I have a Georgia case too, and that is Gibbs, GIBBS versus State 340, Georgia Appeal 723. It's in Division 2A, as in Elisa, 2017 case.
All right, thank you. Ms. Love.
Your Honor, I believe that the court accurately,
This is back in.
well, the why was when counsel
I think this is where the judge tore her new butthole.
or
Was it because you were establishing who lived at places and they were gonna object unless you brought the person in?
that was half of it. The other half was that they objected to any of the
Chain of custody, I remember.
right. At some point, yes, after we get other, yes.
Okay, then yep, go ahead and put those objections in writing.
I'll do it.
And one more thing, Mr. Steele, you sent over an email sort of setting forth an objection, or a continuing objection, I guess, that you have to the testimony of Mr. Sprinkle about his investigation, and you base it on Davis versus State, 307 Georgia 746 from 2020, and also Adkins v. State, 301 Georgia 153 from 2017, and the law that's set forth in those about conduct of an investigation in an officer not normally, only in rare instances being relevant, but that it is relevant after, or its case law appears to acknowledge that it can be relevant after a defense has raised questions about an investigation. And yet you're saying at the same time that your co-counsel is asking Mr. Sprinkle questions about his investigation that you don't believe that it is relevant here because the defense hasn't challenged Mr. Sprinkle specifically. And that is, I appreciate that nuance, but my original ruling on that stands, so I'm going to overrule your objection. You may have a continuing objection to that.
Okay, all right. Whitaker's right, the law says
All right,
this.
see y'all back at 1:20.
Our job as lawyers is often to argue the same thing different ways. We see Love do it on Wednesday. So, the that's our job. It's just our job. And so, Steele tried it, he tried it, and Paige appreciated it. Thank you so much, Purple Paradox. She's gifted I don't know, Purple Paradox, your gender, has gifted a membership and became a member on the new user. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. Thank you, everyone, for your likes and subscribes. I am Lauren Cadillac, aka OG Cadillac, aka Mother of the Decade, aka looks 10 years younger than she really is, aka is stumbling over her own words today. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hitting like. Thanks for hitting subscribe. Thank you for your super chats, your memberships. Thank you, Red Bunny. Thank you, Paradox. I appreciate you all. Okay, so now we come in to Tuesday, and honestly, I don't remember a whole lot of Tuesday because that's how eventful I felt that Wednesday was. Okay, so thanks, Julie. I missed my esthetician appointment last month, but I've been seeing Cynthia's Wax and Skincare in Uptown Dallas for about, I'm going to say 10, 11 years. And I mean, she's just done such a great job that I was able to miss my appointment last month and still look fabulous. So thank you, Cynthia, if you're watching. Okay. Wednesday was just such a clusterfuck that I kind of forgot what happened on Tuesday. So bear with me, guys. Just here we go. I like the sweater look. I have decided that Shannon Stillwell is really funny. Okay, Miss Jenny, $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. I've decided Shannon Stillwell's really funny because I've noticed that every morning when they come in, everyone around him is always laughing, and I'm like, he has to be the one cutting up the jokes. He has to be. Okay, I hate this jacket. I don't hate it as much as I don't hate this jacket as much as the highlighter jacket from the day before, but I am just not a fan of this color.
When later on, it doesn't sound like.
Have you ever noticed that her and the court reporter seem to match quite a bit? I noticed that they're often wearing the same colors, so different to me. Oh, I saw Love Get Ripped a new one on Monday. I'm just not going to show it to you guys. I made a comment about it in the community, and I commented about how I would run away and go change my identity if I had been her. But she just came back bold-faced, gave no fucks.
Like it's Shannon. It sounds like it's the two of them that he's already mentioned, so that fixes that.
But he can say, and we can get in the fact that Woody told Shannon and Pokey, let's ride.
Yes.
Okay.
See, and that's my problem, Your Honor. I think that the they inescapably refers to Shannon in the mind of the jurors, even if we take out the one conclusory line.
Well, I mean, that may be what you think, but that's the way we're going to handle it.
Okay, I understand. And just for the record, Your Honor, it is the lines that I'm concerned about on the transcript are 111, line 4, where it says, he like man, we just shot up Lucci's mama's house, and page 10, line 20, where it says, no, they said they did it.
Okay, well, I don't agree that it still sounds like Shannon with only certain people were named and he's not one of them.
I understand the court's ruling.
Okay, what's the next one?
That's the only two, but I just.
Oh, I thought y'all said there were 3.
You shaking his head.
Miss Love has no pride, y'all. She is in for the win.
Agreement about that.
She does not give a fuck
The one
otherwise.
that would.
Themselves is the portion that we have noted the court allowed us to use. Yesterday, I asked the court to allow us to include the hot case. The court denied it, but the rest of it, the court said that it could be used for impeachment.
He wanted. Okay.
I mean, I just step out there.
Okay. Here comes the jury. Okay, Yak looks great. Even though his name means vomit, he looks great. I love the look here. This is a little casual for my taste. In the back. Oh no, Purple Paradox. Love did not cry in the car. No, ma'am. No, she did not. No, ma'am, she did not. She did not cry at all. That woman has no sense of pride. No, ma'am. Any other attorney particularly like woman attorney I've ever met, would have had a tear like come to their eye in that moment. Then they would have gone to the restroom, and there's no way they would have even made it through the rest of the afternoon without shedding those tears. She's not normal. She didn't cry. She did not give a fuck. She thinks Whitaker is wrong. Like, she thinks that she is smarter than Whitaker. So no, I don't believe that for a minute. Here we go. All right. So, we got YSL ponytail. I love Shard's blue on this day. Doug is really tall. When I was there, I noticed he is quite tall. These guys are about my height, about 5'5". YSL grandma must be really small. She wasn't there the day I was there.
Morning. All right, so we have Detective Gaither on the stand now, and I'll just remind you, ma'am, that you are still under oath. Go ahead, Ms. Love.
Thank you, Your Honor.
I still don't understand why Gaither's photos not, or why she's not allowed to be filmed, except that she's a bitch and that Love doesn't want her bitchiness to be shown on the camera. But the fact of the matter is, she's been on the news. We just Googled her. We found her for our thumbnail. Like, what is there to, this would be like me being a witness and like, oh no, I need to protect my identity. Bitch, you have a YouTube channel. I have like 9,400 subscribers. If you're watching and you haven't subscribed yet, I'd love for you to. I'm trying to make my goal of 10,000 by the end of the year. Anyhow, I can't pretend I've been on the news. No, my identity is not a secret. Maybe where I live. Ridiculous.
Honor. And welcome back, Sergeant Gaither. Sergeant Gaither, would you please tell the jury whether during your investigation of events that happened in 2015 as they related to If Gang and YSL, you had an occasion to interview Quindarius Zachary on August 5th, 2015?
Yes.
All right. And at the time that you interviewed him, did you call him to be interviewed, or did he or someone on his behalf reach out to you?
There were a couple people on his behalf that reached out to me, stating that he wanted to talk to me.
Okay. And I'm going to...
Yeah.
He starts right away. Hearsay. Or you can't hear her, maybe. So, one thing I do not like is the way the state has opted to present this case. The calling a witness, letting him go, calling him back, letting him go, calling him back. It's fucking annoying, really. Typically, in most trials that I've ever been on, you call a witness and you get all of the testimony you need out of that witness. Then you let them go and you call them back on the rare occasion that there's been something said that, that contradicts them, and you need someone to come back. And so calling witness to talk about 2014, then letting everyone go, then calling witnesses for 15, then letting everyone go, and then come back for 16 and 11. It is stupid. It is a shitty way to present evidence, and I do not like it. No, I don't.
I'll agree what's in and what's out. We just don't seem to agree on what the time steps are.
Okay, so they're arguing about evidence. This is outside the presence of the jury.
I'm sorry, I'm going to go back to 316:20. All right, to 316:20. All right, so 316:20, I'm going to play.
Good. Yeah, think about it. When he money, Bird ain't going to jail no better.
All right. Well, we can fast forward on that.
Do you think that Doug ordered that on the against that? No. I told him they're trying to give him name.
Yeah.
So there's like no sanctions?
There it is, right there. The court's ruling, as I understand it, and I have documented, is that the part that the state just played, which is on 122, the bottom of 122, going to page 123 of the transcript, where it says, do you think that Doug ordered that on Nut, murder against Nut? And he says, nah. That was all coming in.
Right.
Okay? And then when Zachary says, nah, I told they just trying to get a name, that's
The
out.
law is in, and the rest of it is out.
Correct.
Yes, and then it picks back up with the questions, right?
So there's no sanctions, and all that's in.
Right.
So, no. So, am I clear that there's a 1 second part that's out? Because,
Yes.
Judge, I'd have to be allowed to play that, because I am not, a second is going to take less than a second to say that. To stop it.
Doesn't matter, that part's
You want the evidence in because it's inconvenient to hit the pause button? Ugh.
I know, but what I'm saying, Your Honor, is I do not believe that.
Can you turn the volume down for that part? Because that'd be fine. If you just nod and turn the volume down.
Or pause it and fast forward.
Yep. Because we had 316:34 to 316:41 out.
And that was
what they agreed to.
But I know that line 7, murder against Nutt, Zachary's answer, nah, is supposed to be in, and the rest of it is out. And then it's Gator's question again.
So the nah stays in,
Correct.
but the rest of the sentence is out. And then it picks up after 5-6 words.
Yes.
It says not in space bar.
Yes, that's your
Evidence
job,
really doesn't
bitch.
work like that. But I'll,
2 space bars.
Your Honor, if the court would just give me a moment to just practice.
Okay. That works.
316.
She needs a moment to practice. I love how Matthew said, just hit the space bar. Like, it's really not that hard, Adrian. And quite frankly, the fact that you don't want to hit the space bar does not mean that these people's constitutional rights should just be, like, ignored, right? Like, the convenience for Adrian Love means nothing in the big picture of these men's constitutional rights. Fuck off, Adrian. Seriously. Like, who do you think you are, bitch? No, Gator is not a wannabe thug. Gator is a thug.
In the interest of time, if she just instructs, or the court instructs rather, Detective Gaither to refresh her memory on it, don't say the second part, and just ask a question. Did you ask Mr. Zachary if Mr. Williams ordered the killing? And her answer would be no.
Your Honor, I don't think that the court would ever allow the state to interrupt cross-examination and instruct the defense on how to ask a question or examine a witness. So,
He's just trying to.
Your Honor, he can get that out on cross. I'm not trying to hide anything. I would gladly.
Like, Paige is rubbing her head like, Jesus fucking Christ. What kind of shit show have I entered? Whitaker is finally at a point where she's like, oh, this is trash.
Played out. I don't. So I'm going to do as the court instructs. I'm going to play it. I can pause it. I can hit mute.
Listen. How I know Love is a narcissist is because she doesn't care about anyone or anything besides her win. But when I see my judge looking at me like this, I change what the fuck I'm saying, okay? I change what I'm saying. I read my audience and I respond accordingly. I don't just keep going. She just keeps going. She's not even paying attention. Look at her judge. Her judge is like this.
Either option is fine with me. But again, I do not want to be accused of running afoul unintentionally or intentionally of anything that the court ordered. So I'm going to do as the court directed.
You wouldn't be accused of running afoul if you didn't run afoul, bitch. Okay.
To get the witness back in?
Yes.
All right, well, you've been able to do it twice in practice without getting any critical part heard, so I expect you to be able to do it with the jury, too.
Counsel can play it, but
Huh?
they can play it themselves.
What the fuck? All the, like...
At 3:16:27.
All right. Well, we can fast forward on that.
Do you think that Doug ordered that on the charge against that? No. I told him.
I'm stopping. I stopped at 3:16:41.
Oh, look, she was able to do it. Oh my God, it's a miracle. Fucking bitch.
And I'm.
All right, so more in the video. Blah, 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 blah. Which, by the way, I swear we saw Gaither's face in some of these videos. I swore, but...
The place that he described as the condo, Thug's condo?
Yes.
Do you know the name of this apartment complex or condominium complex?
Sky House.
And who is displayed to your knowledge in 510 Yankee?
Shannon Jackson.
All right. And is that the photo that he said, or Mr. Zachary said he took either?
Y'all. This piece of evidence is from January 1st, 2015. This piece of evidence is from so long ago that Shannon Stillwell is a third of the size that he is today. He's not even fucking full grown in this photograph. That is not a full grown man. That's a big child. That is not a full grown man. If I'm on the jury and I am seeing pictures of children in 2015, I'm wondering why the fuck I'm there. What are we doing here? Why are we looking at pictures of teenagers? Like, what the fuck? I, personally, Lord Cadillac, would not be able to see this photograph and the man in the courtroom and be like, yeah, that's the same dude. If I had known the boy child man in this photograph and I saw Shannon Stillwell in the courtroom, I wouldn't know that I'd be like, oh, what? Oh. We're talking about a child and now a grown-up. And, like, I don't understand why all these childhood photos are coming out. Like, I don't get it. It's like if someone had written something stupid in my high school. I graduated high school in the year 2000, okay? Someone maybe wrote something dumb in my yearbook. I don't know, because I haven't seen my yearbook. But if someone had, and then a cop found that yearbook 24 years ago, and then the cop prosecuted the kid who was like, oh, put him in jail, terroristic threat, or whatever. Like, come the fuck on. This is why we have a statute of limitations. I don't know, off my statute of limitations high horse.
In December or January of 2015?
Yes.
I'm now showing you what has already been admitted as State's Exhibit 477 Yankee. Do you recognize the people who's shown in 477 Yankee?
Yes.
Could you please display 477 Yankee on the screen? Do you see Mr. Zachary in that photograph?
Yes.
All right. Is he the person with the red hat on?
Yes.
Who else is he in the photograph with, to your knowledge?
The black hoodie, Mr. Sledge, Montoon.
Literally, the only adult in this photo is Mungtuk. And he's, he just happens to be 10 years older than everybody. The only adult in this photograph that I see is Mungtuk. And he looks like a relatively young adult. Although, Mungtuk looks like one of those guys that looks 45 his whole life. Like, when he was 10, he looked 45. When he's 90, he'll look 45. Like, one of those guys, he looks like that. Look at him. He looks the same. The rest look like children.
And Mr. Williams with the gray hoodie.
All right. And showing you State's 482 Yankee. Do you recognize the person shown in 482 Yankee?
Yes.
Oh,
Who do you
God,
see in
guys.
482 Yankee?
Oh, God.
Mr. Zachary.
I'm sorry. We got another one. We've got another one today. Someone who thinks I'm reporting on a culture I don't know about. As if I'm not a fucking licensed attorney. As if I haven't practiced in a courtroom for over a decade. My culture is the courtroom. Thank you very fucking much. My culture is the Constitution of the United States of America. Thank you very much. These are Americans on trial just as much as anyone else who's an American on trial. Thank you very much. All of us have a vested interest in the outcome of justice.
Up front with the gray hoodie. Shannon Jackson with the black hoodie with white words. And Mr. Kendricks with the long black jacket with a white t-shirt underneath.
Thank you.
I need for y'all to stick around. Don't let them leave.
not Faith. Judge Whitaker said, don't let them leave. Don't let them leave. Who's them? I think I know who them is. But I don't want to be the them when a judge says don't let them leave, okay? Look, y'all, I cover court. I cover trials. If they're Americans on trial, that's it, full stop. It's an American on trial. You can fuck off with your culture shit. Our culture's American. I'm an American. My culture's the Constitution. Give a fuck what the fucking defendant looks like. Is that a citizen of this great country? Is that my fellow countryman? That's what I give a shit about. Ugh. Alright. Kick Amber Smith out. Sorry, guys. I'm sorry. But that pisses me off. I cover trials. Okay, anyhow, I don't want to be the them. When the judges don't let them leave, that I'm hoping Lord Cadillac ain't the them, y'all. Please, please don't let me be the them.
I'm now going to show you what we have marked, and Your Honor, we shared, and I'm not going to display, but I'm going to show Sergeant Gaither pages 204, 195, 180, 170, 153, 159, 128, 127, 126, 122, 190.
Boleyn mentioned that Kokomo had worn a suit with the black and the black, which earlier I told you is really beautiful and I'm going to go buy for my dude. And so I'm glad that Shard followed suit with Mr. Kokomo. Kokomo dresses well. I've been following him on Twitter, which I will not call X, because then if I say I'm on X, it sounds like I'm on drugs, which I'm not. But I follow him on Twitter, and he posted these pictures of his family, like his mom and his dad and his brother and him, in like this very beautiful traditional garb. They are just, ugh, such a beautiful family. And he just is, Kokomo is like, he's my Boleyn, you know? Like, I die without Boleyn. You guys have seen me die without Boleyn here. Like, I'm dying, where's Boleyn? That's how I see Kokomo to Shard. Like, this is, like, part of you. Grateful says Kokomo is so high. He's not hard to look at, that's for sure.
19, 117, 81, 79, and 12 of states 526 Yankee, which has not been admitted. Okay. But I'm showing Sergeant Gaither these exhibits, and I labeled them as 526. Do you recognize the people shown in 526 Yankee Alpha?
Yes, a few of them.
All right. Is Quindarius Zachary in that photograph?
Yes.
Did you ever get the opportunity to review Quindarius Zachary's IG, Twitter, social media, or anything like that?
His Instagram page, I have.
Okay, his Instagram page. All right. And I'm going to show you, because this is a little bit bigger, State's Exhibit 5.
Now, I just want to point out, Adrian just said, I'm going to show you. Then she made a side comment, because it's a little bigger. If it had been a defense attorney that made that side comment, because it's a little bigger, Adrian would have objected. We know this, y'all. That's how she rolls. She would have objected. But you see, the defense doesn't care. They know objecting to that does not help preserve error for appeal, which I did a big video on appeals you can totally find. Objecting just wastes the juror's time. So they're not going to object. They don't have to object at everything because they're not at mock trial. They're at real trial.
526 Yankee Beta, and ask you if you recognize the people shown in 526 Yankee Beta.
Yes.
And do you recognize the location shown in 526 Yankee Beta?
Yes.
Is that an accurate reflection of the persons, images of the people shown in 526 Yankee Beta, and the location shown in 526 Yankee Beta?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state tenders 526 Yankee Beta as evidence.
Any objection? All right, it's admitted.
All right. Showing you
no objection. We're not going to waste the jury's time. It's not objectionable. It's not going to totally ruin our case. So we're not going to lose or mess up the appeal over this, right? Like, the whole point of objections is to preserve error for appeal. So why bother objecting if it's not going to help your appeal?
26 Yankee Charlie. Do you recognize the persons shown in?
I'm sorry, Judge. I objected to the
I'm
last
sorry, I thought you said no
Oh, he
objection.
did object.
Not admitted.
Okay.
She'll have to take that up. And yeah, I know we haven't gone over any of this yet, so it may be.
That's correct.
It may be that we need to break and deal with.
I don't have to tender it now. No, so
Okay.
we cannot.
All right, then just don't tender him yet.
Okay. Without publishing and without admitting, is the court allowed? I mean,
You can show her whatever you want.
Okay.
If you need, if you're just saying to the substance of.
then the next question will be: were the
Why does the judge have to tell her you can show her thing? I mean, it's like she's supposed to know this.
people and the
That's fine.
were the people and the location in 526 Yankee Beta discussed during your interview with Mr. Zachary?
Objection for the same reason.
All right, let's just deal with it. Outside presence of the jury.
Welcome, Brandy Southern Girl, to Paralegal membership. Thank you so much for joining, and welcome to the craziness.
So why don't we break for the day? Y'all get to go home a few minutes early. Remind y'all, don't talk about the case. Don't let anybody talk about the case with you. Don't look at any kind of accounts, no matter where they might show up, about this trial or anybody involved in it. And we'll see you at 9 in the morning. Thank you.
Okay. So now then they go on to talk about evidence, which they should have done a long time ago, but they couldn't because Adrienne Love wasn't prepared. Now, I did learn that she took over this trial from someone else, that someone else had said something in a mic about, oh, we only want the leader. But just because you took over a case from someone else does not mean you can prosecute your case like trash. It's not an excuse. I've taken cases over. My partner Aaron and he does litigation with me, and he took a case over on what did he do? Like Thursday, and then on Friday we wrote the jury charges, and on Monday I chose the jury. And he had a whole 4-day trial, so. I think Mr. Kokomo is in his mid-20s, like my Boleyn. I believe he is a Gen Zer. So, that's just on information and belief. Okay. So, I don't feel bad for Love and Hilton for taking over. That's part of the job. You learn this shit in law school. These are seasoned veterans. It's not like these people just got out of law school. This is not their first trial. These are people who've been doing this for 15, 20, 30 years. I've been an attorney. I've been a licensed attorney for 13 years. I've been practicing for 7, 8 of those years. 8, no? 9? 9, 10 of those years. The first few years I just negotiated things. So, I would expect more out of myself. I don't like my job. I love my job. I love my job. Yesterday I won partially on a motion for summary judgment. We just have to prove up damages and attorney's fees. Next week I'm going to Midland for another motion for summary judgment. Last week I had a whole case dismissed. I'm a good lawyer. I'm really good at it, and I quite enjoy it. So anyhow, thank you everyone. All right, let's get into Wednesday, because that was, oh my Lanta. Well, so first of all, on Wednesday, I was really busy doing stuff. So I was listening but not watching. And I just kept hearing, hold on, I gotta get close, real close to the mic because it sounded like this. As it turns out, this is Gaither. She's got some real breathing problems, y'all. Oh shit, this is crazy. So Gaither was huffing and puffing in the mic all day Wednesday. All right, looking good. Look, Shard is laughing. I'm telling y'all, Shannon Stillwell must be hilarious. I like Thug's suit, but his tie right here at the bottom, that's oh, you can't see my mouse pointer. Damn. I don't know if you can see it. Anyhow, at the bottom of his suit, the tie is uneven. I'm loving the sweater vest. Loving it, especially with the pink. Fabulous. Here we go.
Thank you. All right, Ms. Lab, you can proceed.
Thank you, Your Honor. And good morning, Sergeant Gaither. Welcome back.
Good morning.
Yesterday, the state was showing you
Oh,
some.
y'all. The picnic jacket? I mean, come on. Really? The picnic blanket jacket? Come on, Miss Love.
Photographs.
Oh, you like the pink, Miss Page Autumn? I don't know. I like it in spring.
And asked if you recognize them. I am showing you again State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Bravo from page 195 of State's Exhibit 526 Yankee. And I'll ask you if you recognize once more the people and the place shown on that exhibit.
Yes.
And would you please tell the jury who it is that is shown on, I'm sorry, I can grab it. The exhibit in front of you.
Quindarius Zachary and Quinn Porter.
And may I ask you to just lean into the mic or pull that mic a little bit closer to you? Thank you. Go ahead.
Quindarius Zachary and Quinn Porter.
And where is it? Are you able to recognize where it is that Quindarius, Zachary, and Quentin Porter are standing?
Yes, where they're sitting.
Sitting,
Yes.
thank you. Where are they located?
At the dugout, gambling house.
Your Honor, the state tenders State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Bravo as evidence. Thank you. Would you please tell the jury, you can hang on to it as I, or, yeah, what date and time that State's Exhibit 526 Yankee Bravo was posted on Mr. Zachary's Twitter account?
October the 8th, 2014, but it doesn't have a time.
Okay. And what is the caption?
Me and Big Boo.
Now, is this Quentin Porter, thank you, the same Quentin Porter that you referenced earlier as Big Boo?
Yes.
And is this the same Big Boo that Mr. Zachary talked about as having known Tay, who grew up in Capitol Homes with him and Motoon?
Yes.
All right. And is this the person that you indicated was a member or a leader within Rock Crew? I'm not suggesting. Thank you. You may answer.
Yes.
All right. Do you recall during the interview where you spoke with Mr. Zachary talking about a person?
Okay, whoever, Rodriguez says, I love women in any color. I love that. My dad used to say, my dad had this saying, he said, I love beautiful women. Then he would say, but my problem is, I think all women are beautiful. Isn't that cute? I thought it was cute. I mean, it's not that cute if you're his woman, because then you don't feel special. But he was my dad, so I didn't care. I didn't feel special already because I was like one of 8.
Yes, sir.
Your Honor, at this time, I'm going to move for a mistrial on behalf of Mr. Stillwell.
I fast forward to the perfect moment. Just another mistrial. Just another day of mistrial. Okay, Red Buddy. I actually got to vehemently object in court on Wednesday. It was awesome. I was like, no, my client vehemently objects to that. And it was like so fun to say it. Vehemently. Okay, here we go.
We have, first of all, I'll point out that we've been referring to Ms. Gaither as, I believe, Sergeant. And I say that to say that she is not someone that just came off the street to...
So here says you can play a game on Love's Jacket. I love you guys. I have literally the best chat on the internet. You guys are amazing.
testify with no understanding of how the process works. She's experienced. She's, I'm sure, testified many times before. She just informed the jurors that her belief is that Mr. Zachary did not want to harm Mr. Stillwell specifically, but that's not my objection. My objection is she testified his intent was to come in and...
I don't know why Thug is wearing... They need to get this man some iron pills or something. He has a whole sweater under the button-up shirt. It is not that cold in the courtroom, y'all. It's 67.8. It is not that cold.
And give truthful, to get himself out of trouble by giving truthful information. That was absolutely improper. That was vouching for a witness. That was bolstering. And that is a basis for a mistrial. From an expert, I'll point out as well.
Oh, yes.
Your Honor, my response is that...
She was already sworn in as an expert, y'all. So what are we, like, at 2 hours into the morning, we already get a mistrial? I was wondering, in April, when Gaither testified, she was Detective Gaither. Now, all of the sudden, in October, she's Sergeant Gaither, but she retired, so how'd she get promoted? Also, I don't know what sergeant means. Like, what does that even mean? Who cares?
the court very well could and should instruct the jury that as to the witness's opinion about a interviewee's, well, first my response is we vehemently object to a mistrial. Secondly, the court could and should instruct the jury that a witness's opinion about another witness's statements or testimony or anything that they said is...
I love how she's telling the court what to do. Well, the court should.
Not to be considered by the jury. The jury is the person that determines the credibility of the witnesses. And I can make certain that Sergeant Gaither knows when I'm asking regarding any indication that to not talk about truthfulness, but just to give objectively what indication or whether she considered that there was an indication. Secondly, a mistrial is in no way warranted in this case when Sergeant Gaither did not say
right.
Quindary Zachary was being truthful. She said, I perceived. She said, I perceived. And that is why an instruction would be warranted that her opinion about his truthfulness is not to be considered by the jury. They make the determination about credibility. There is nothing about any of the exchange that just occurred that warrants or in any way justifies a mistrial. At best, an instruction is called for.
That I initially objected to the question to begin with, and I saw the danger, and the state insisted on asking that question. That prompted this response.
Okay,
that was
question.
completely.
Why did the judge's lady just walk around the back here? I mean, I guess her desk is over here, so she's gonna walk out, but I thought that was a little weird.
Inappropriate.
All right, thank you. I'm going to instruct the witness as well. So we'll go ahead and take a break, and when we get back, I'm going to have the witness in and instruct her, and then give an instruction to the jury. Going to deny the motion for mistrial.
And Your Honor, I'd like to renew my motion for the next question.
All right, thank you. All right, we're on recess.
I assume we're all joined in that.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Called it complete.
Okay, gotta see this. So now we got Gaither still on the stand. We got all this shit going on. Hold on. Here we go.
Yeah. All right, do y'all want to take a look at that before the witness gets back?
All right, keep an eye. Keep an eye on this stuff. Now, it is not required that I share everything on my desk. Okay? At my table, I could have tons of notes. I could have pieces of evidence that I don't intend on using. I can have all kinds of things at my desk. And I could even have things at my desk that I would want to hide from the other party. Maybe stuff them under my notebook. That is allowed, okay? But let's just watch this scene together carefully. Okay, watch these two.
Your Honor.
I'm just going to put it back in the condition it was in just a minute ago, and then permit them to look at it.
Your Honor.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Before we.
so time out. Miss Love just asked Detective Gaither a question about Gaither's file. And she's like, oh, is this your file? Now, if you recall, way back in April, the first time Gaither testified, at that time, the judge told everyone, go look for the damn file. Because nobody has the file hasn't been given to him. So now, all of a sudden, Adrian Love has a copy of the file. All right. So, yes, I'm referring to everything missing from the file. So, right now, Adrian Love and Mr. Atkins are shuffling to put together, to like reassemble the file the way they found it.
Ask Investigator Gaither any questions. I would ask the court to inquire of the state when they received this file and how they received this file, because we're completely in the blind.
Okay.
So, Adrian Love's about to explain that, but you have the file. The presiding judge at the time ordered you to go to APD and try to find the file. And now, nothing is mentioned about the file again for 6 months. And now, all of a sudden, while the witness is on the stand, you ask about the file.
We went over to the Atlanta Police Department.
When?
Obviously, before.
Get your mic on.
I swear to you, she bought that. She bought that lapel mic
Just
for
before we
herself.
served, I think we called it complete.
Just watch these men. Just watch these.
Just before we served, I think we called it.
I swear, I would think that this was a directed television show. I mean, that was like...
Complete case files from Operation Planners incident. This is where we got this one, the other ones that were included in that discovery tranche from the Atlanta Police Department. That's where they came from. The one titled Complete Case Files of 2015 Operation Planners. If the court will allow me, I will ask our legal assistants to give me the date that we served the file called Complete Case Files of Operation Planners.
Okay, and so the contents of that file were served whenever that was?
Yes.
All right, what led you to suddenly ask Detective Gaither if this was her file?
There's the real question. So y'all were talking about this file, and now all of a sudden, hey, is this your file? Like, where was that question in April?
I was looking through for a particular number. I was trying to find both that photograph where Mr. Zachary had signed A515 NARD on the Brownsville Road photographs. I was looking for that, and I was just looking through everything that we had. And in looking through it, because I knew I'd seen it somewhere, I found it in this particular file folder. And looking at it, I initially had, I'll show the court what I was about to show.
Well, why don't you put it back together, and then, and I know we're asking you to do several things at once, so how about put it back together, and then you can finish your answer.
Judge looked pretty skeptical while she was saying that. Okay, now watch her put it back together.
Hold this.
Hold this.
Yeah, the one that is called Operation Planners Complete Case File. That's what this is.
Someone said we could hear you or something, and he turned and he told her to take off her mic. I love it. Now, don't forget, in the Alec Baldwin trial, there was one set of like a little few bullets, and the prosecution did not hand them over to the defense, and there goes your whole trial, boom, with prejudice. Here's a whole freaking file.
Okay, now you can finish your answer as to why this suddenly seemed like it might be Sergeant Hunter's file.
It drives me nuts, gang, and it's like, does this woman not understand seasons? Like the seasonality? The other day she wore a Christmas looking jacket. It was ridiculous. Okay, watch it. I mean, the judge is looking over.
And I'm pulling up as well the discovery that has been served.
Let somebody else do that.
Okay, someone else is pulling up. So anyway, Your Honor, as I said, I was when we were getting ready for Mr. Zachary, actually I think it may have been another witness, Mr. Murphy, but I remember seeing somebody's handwriting on a picture of someone at the Brownsville Road gas station, the Citgo. So as I was...
Okay. So this explanation has so many fucking words. It has to be a lie. There's just going to go back to the beginning. I'm not going to be able to count the words because I tried that and I can't do that. But maybe one of you could count her words. There are so many words, there's no way she's being truthful. The truth doesn't take this many words to explain.
Actually, I think it may have been another witness, Mr. Murphy, but I remember seeing somebody's handwriting on a picture of someone at the Browns Mill Road gas station, the Citgo. So as I was looking for that, I started looking for, I said, I remember somebody's signature being on it. I don't remember if I thought it was Mr. Zachary or whomever. In either event, I found this particular, the one that we've entered as, anyway, the one that Mr. Zachary signed on 8/5/15. I found that and pulled it out and just started looking at it. I didn't know whose file it was, and in fact, I sent a text message to
Vintage CB, my goodness, thank you so much. 10 memberships, y'all, what a blessing. Thank you, Vintage CG. That's everyone who got that, thank you. My goodness. Thank you for blessing all my viewers. Welcome to the membership, y'all. Oh, the craziness. Oh, bless you. I shine, we shine, we shine. Thank you, all 10 of them. Okay. 10 new members, thank you so much. That's incredible. Incredible. For those of you who are just getting here, they're on a break for a week because of Rosh Hashanah, because of the Rosh Hashanah holiday. I shine, you shine, we shine. Ah, I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay. Robin, mislabeling it is probably a legitimate excuse, but it's still reason for mistrial. So, oops.
Detective Dennis on a particular date, asking him, whose writing is this, on Thursday of last week. And it was a portion of this file that contained a report about Demise McMullen and a kidnapping. And it had Demise Nard McMullins. So I asked Dennis, whose writing is this? And, let's see. I don't see where he wrote me back, but while I was in the back just now, I asked Sergeant Gaither, whose writing is this? And she said, I think I asked her in the, like, whose writing is this? And I don't remember whether she said it was hers or Dennis's, but I asked her if this looks like her file. And she said, that looks like my file, what's in it? And I said, here. And I showed her what was in the stuff that they were looking at, that I was looking at. And she said, it looks like my file. And so I came out here, and that's what I asked her. I asked her, did she see that? Did I show her? Did she see it? Does it look like her file? And she's answered the way that the court is aware. And we're looking at the discovery that we served, and Mr. Atkins is telling me that we served that in 2022. So I was, well.
Why does it take so much to explain that? Like, my experience when there's so many damn words, it's a lie. Period. Okay? Like, why did it take so many words? Well, Your Honor, we didn't know before, and I thought to ask her just now, and she did confirm it. But no, instead you say 800,000 words. Like, it is sketchy to me when people use more words like that. It doesn't. Oh, we bosses, this trial's gonna go on for eternity. I'll be like a great-grandmother by the time this shit is over.
Wait. We're confirming. I'll take that back. We're confirming when it was served. But I know that we provided this information because after I saw that, I went and looked up.
When were the discussions about whether Sergeant Gaither's file existed or was destroyed in the hack or whatever? When did those occur? Before or after that discovery was served?
I think after. But yeah, but I don't think, I know for a fact that whatever was discussed, like when I looked through that file, I don't see in that file either anything that was like
actually indicates that it's, I mean, I didn't either in my quick cursory review of it. In fact, there are some reports from other investigators, and I don't see any handwritten notes or anything like that. But so, I mean, I guess, did you recall at this time that what everybody previously thought was that or Sergeant Gaither's file no longer existed?
Did she recall or did I recall?
Did you recall when you went and asked her, hey, is this your file?
No,
You didn't remember that? Did you remember that? I mean, when she was like, yeah, that might be my.
Miss Love doesn't even understand. Hey, did you have common sense about this? Huh? Huh? What is common sense? Huh? What? Jamila, welcome. I have the best chat on the internet, period, hands down, end of story. All right, here now the judge is like, did you think to maybe like tell people?
My file. Were you like, huh? So it actually exists after all? Or were you like not even remembering that it didn't exist?
No, I remember when they were asking her questions about interviews or certain things within that she said were within her file, and I didn't see, that's not in what I have. I've never seen that. So I cannot say, no, I didn't say, oh, this now exists, because nothing that she said didn't exist exists
In there still.
Correct. I didn't see anything else.
Well, if you want to take a look at it, and if I'll let you ask Sergeant Gaither whatever you want to about it, or if there's still things missing from it. I'm sure that, this is obviously a hard copy paper file, and I imagine in this day and age, people don't download everything from the computer, and maybe she had an electronic file also, and that's what she meant, but y'all can find out.
Because her investigation wasn't this day and age. Her investigation was back in 14, 15. It was a decade ago. It wasn't this day and age.
Can I just clarify the record a little bit?
Yeah.
And I would very much like to look at that file. Last time, and I believe it was last time, I can't recall how many times Investigator Gaither has testified, but I'm going to say last time. She took the stand. There were specific things that she said she did, and they were not in the reports given to us. I'm aware that the state gave us electronic copies of certain documents in 2022. No one's disputing it. She claimed that, well, I did do that, and I did document it. I wrote reports.
Right.
And I said, well, where are the reports? Because we had discovery, and it didn't have any of these reports pertaining to the work she claimed she did.
Right.
And so then we talked to Judge Glanville about it, and Judge Glanville kind of summarily attributed it to the hack, which I didn't necessarily agree with, but he also told the state, you need to go to APD and make due diligence, your best to find this file. Everyone was looking for this file. And then apparently the state obtained this file and never reported back to the court or to defense counsel, hey, this file that...
Thank you. If a judge orders me, hey, Lauren, go try to find the file, da-da-da-da-da, guess what I'm going to do? First of all, if I find the file, I'm going to, like, the first thing the next morning, like, hey, I found the file, and here it is. I made copies for everyone because I work for the government, so photocopying is limitless and free. I'm not just going to be like, oh, hey, witness, is this your file? This file that we've had extensive discussions about without the jury here. I mean, don't talking extensive, talking tax dollars paid. I'm not just going to be like, oh, is this your file? No, you're going to fucking copy the file and hand it to everyone. Guess what? I found the file. It's a fucking miracle.
Everyone was looking for. Last time Investigator Gaither testified, we found it. This is what's in it. Here you go. Because my understanding, I haven't looked at it, but other people on the team have, the new discovery that was served does not contain that amount of information from the file. That I'm looking at how thick that file is. There's like one police report and the new tranche of information that they're claiming they served after the file. But at no point did anyone from the state tell anyone on the defense, to my knowledge, at least to me, hey, remember that file that you guys were asking about and Judge Glanville instructed us to go find? We actually went and we found this file. And I just don't know how that happens, that we're learning that this missing file has apparently been discovered. I guess we're going to review it to see. I don't know how we learn about that in the middle of direct testimony. Mm-hmm. That's just tough for me to reconcile with everyone being above board.
Your Honor, I'm reviewing the discovery, actually, that was served. Discovery.
Okay, couple things. Firstly, I don't really trust people that don't customize the background of their computer. All right? Notice how Love has this, like, standard Microsoft photo. 1. 2. This many files on a desktop is, to me, a piece of evidence to the fact that someone does not know how to discriminate, in the sense that they don't understand priorities, they don't understand importance, like things having levels of importance. They don't understand, like, maybe things have levels of priority. And so instead of having like 3 items on the desktop that are like the most often, most pressing, always want to be able to easily get to items, she has all the items on the desktop. And honestly, her presentation in this case reflects that. So, like, my judgment on her based on the messy desktop is actually correct. Okay, so sometimes Stereotypes exist for a reason. Her brain is probably even messier. Y'all should see my desktop. I have like 4 or 5 icons on my desktop. That's it. And then I have pictures of like my family and stuff. Okay, I don't want to show you because I don't want you to see my kids. But I have like, you know, I have pictures of my dude and I traveling. I have pictures of, you know, things that I like, not the Microsoft background. I understand it's a government computer. Maybe she doesn't, you know, have the right to customize it. But then personally, I would do like a solid color, like solid green or pink or something. And I would never have this many icons on my desktop. All of them cannot be that important. There is no way that all 50 items on that desktop are equally important, period. And that is just exactly how she presents this case. To her, every minutia is so important, and that's not true. That is not reality.
One of 3 points.
Yeah, anybody from the defense that wants to go ahead and take this file and look at it, you're welcome to.
And just for the record,
Sir.
I've been informed April 29th was when Sergeant Lieutenant Gaither testified previously.
April 29th of this year. Okay.
Eight-
All right. Go ahead.
8/2/22 is the date that those items were served in discovery. Is it 2?
And by those items, you mean
What's in
the
that?
contents of this brown paper file that's about 1.5 inches thick. Is that what you mean?
Yes, that's what I'm looking at now, and I'm looking through.
Okay.
This is what has been
And
pulled
so
up.
it's, I mean, y'all can,
And so I cannot speak to, I can't speak to anything regarding the stuff that was asked about that didn't exist because, one, I don't see it, I don't have it, and
all right, why don't both sides either confirm if you can or otherwise whether the contents of that file, whether labeled at the time as belonging to Sergeant Gaither or not, were served back in 2022?
it appears that
Can I ask again for the date of service of that?
it looks like
Like, look, Judge, I can't confer with this woman. She's a known liar.
we served the date that I just gave, we served August, what was the other one? The first one, August,
She said 8/2/22.
and 7/11/22 as well. That's what I'm looking at.
And can I ask one more question? Do you know where in the consolidated discovery with the hard drive?
At 3336, there's 3 PDFs. It's a discovery. It's like 600 pages of PDFs. You can buy them all. My spot.
Look. I don't know what's going on over here, but Thug and Steele are having a detailed discussion.
I have physically looking at it today. I'm pretty positive those 3 PDFs are those documents. Because that's not a new file. That's like the same file that created that discovery back in July. And where's my spot? Again in the consolidated at 3336? 3336. Correct. And it should say discovery 1 through 2. And discovery 1 is July 11th.
Notice how Atkins can like speak clearly and refer people. It's just clear.
That's what I think that is.
So it may be that the only thing that's new is that it now maybe realized that this is actually whatever part of Detective Gaither's file still exists.
It's new to us.
I mean, yeah, so it seems to me that the I don't know if I can have. I was just trying to look for a graphic example. So it from what I'm gathering, the defense the prosecution just handed the defense like a pile of discovery, okay, and was like, here, we're going to be using this. What they didn't do is, you know, separate it. This is my planner by month, like January, February, March. So the defense has all this information, but it doesn't know how the prosecution's going to categorize the information, right? And so that is definitely something we do in civil practice. I'm not going to lie. You know, a lot of the stuff you don't like that she's doing is kind of just shit we do. I mean, it's kind of part of the job. So, you know, if we have a lot of discovery, we're going to hand it over, not necessarily explain how and when we intend on using it. It's like, you're a fucking lawyer, figure it out, you know? But then again, if I had someone's notes, it would probably say notes of so-and-so, you know? So it wouldn't be like such a huge guess as it seems to be here. And also, I practice in civil court, so if I throw a bunch of shit at you, it doesn't matter as much. Nobody's life's on the line, you know. It's some money, some real property. It's not like my clients are going to jail for the rest of their lives, you know, so it's different.
It's my understanding from what Ms. Love has said that it's new to her as well as of today.
No,
We had the red files. We scanned red
That
files.
it belonged, that it
Oh,
belonged
yes,
to Detective
yes,
Gators.
yes, I'm sorry.
Okay,
Yes,
yes.
that I didn't know.
I know. Okay. And I mean, I'm just going to offer again with the Ms. Love. Maybe when you talked to her outside, she said whatever she said to indicate, yeah, that might be my file. That you come in and you say to your opposing counsel, hey, you know what? The file of Detective Gathers that we thought was entirely gone. Well, you know what? Apparently, a part of it is this portion that we sent you 2 years ago.
So, like, common sense.
You know, I mean, it just
I do understand, but I just want to make clear that this is not something that was
But you see, she says, "Oh, I understand, but this is not that." It's. I don't like that. I don't like that. I don't like that.
We tried to conceal from anybody, given we served this.
I understand, obviously, if they confirm that they already have the contents, that's not necessarily up for debate. It's just that the knowledge that it's Sergeant Gathers is new. And when you learn it, it'd be nice to share it with the other people.
Yeah.
And yes, Your Honor, I understand what the court is saying, but I do also remember when
But
when
I'm
questions
sorry,
were put upon
but-
this witness about the items that she had in her file, no one brought to her the discovery that they already had and said, is this what was in your file? Where's it?
So she's trying to shift the onus onto the defense and basically say that the defense should have taken all that huge thing of evidence that the prosecution sent him and just gone page by page with Gaither. Was this yours? Was this yours? Was this yours? Was this yours? Is this yours? How about this one? Was this one yours? Is this one yours? Who is in a better position to say and determine whose file that is? The prosecution or the defense? Exactly. Come on, bitch. I hate her.
Nobody knew where this came from.
They knew that this was Detective Gaither's, that this was Sergeant Gaither's investigation.
How can... Oh, they knew it was her investigation, so they should have known this random sheet of paper in this giant file came from her?
So I don't...
The stuff we were questioning her about was not in the discovery. She was claiming she did that was not provided.
And it may still not exist. And we all know, I can't remember the dates of the hack, but we all know, because we practice in Fulton County, that there was some gigantic, what we call hack of the whole city, and APD legitimately lost a whole lot of files that were never able to be recovered. So, I mean, that's just a fact.
But we have a paper file, Your Honor.
I see that.
And the hack does not affect paper files.
I understand
That's
that.
right.
Investigator Gaither
She had a hard copy. The hack didn't get the hard copies.
specifically testified that she wrote reports for certain things. They were in her file that has now been lost.
Okay,
Now,
and you can ask her when she said that, what did she mean? Because like I just said, I mean, all of us in this day and age have things we print out and things we just keep on an electronic file that only exists in the, wherever it exists, in the cloud, and we never print it.
And Your Honor, I have also talked to Sergeant Gaither about not what she told them, but in previous, looking at previous information, having reviewed information that I know for a fact she kept on a terabyte drive, I asked, where is that? And she has told me in the past that the terabyte drive where she had all of her information about all of her cases was connected to her desktop computer at the time that the hack occurred. So I don't have access to it. She didn't have access to it.
Okay, so at first I was like, well, that sounds like bullshit. I mean, it does sound like bullshit. So she had an external hard drive that had a terabyte worth of storage on it. I think that's what Miss Love is trying to communicate when she says a terabyte drive. That was plugged in to the government computer when the hack occurred. And I thought about it, I'm like, why would the hackers, but then I'm like, okay, the hackers probably just stole information from every drive indiscriminatorily, and then like sift through it later or something. I don't know. But also, why does Gaither have her own private property attached to my government machine?
To it. I know that just from talking about other cases. So I didn't ask her specifically about this one, whether this was on that terabyte drive, because those weren't the questions that I put on her. Those are questions posed to her by counsel for each of the defendants. Like, where is this?
Okay.
Your Honor.
Yes.
Also, when it's time for Your Honorable Court to rule, just so we don't waste time with the jury, the question is, let me show you something from your file. And I'm going to object because even though it's potentially, sounds like in Sergeant Gaither's file, retired Sergeant Gaither's file, it is hearsay. It sounds like, I have not looked at, there were a lot of people looking at the files, but it sounds like it's somebody else's information that somehow got into someone else's report on a phone number of Mr. McMullen. So based upon that, that's going to be my objection. That's how this whole question began. So I just want to give you a heads up.
Okay, and honestly, yeah, what was a question?
Do you guys see Shannon Stillwell? He's sound asleep.
On that, that's going to be my objection. That's how this whole question began.
Like, I would be too.
So I just wanted to give you a heads up.
Okay, and honestly,
Look at him. And I gotta tell you, when I went into that courtroom, I almost fell asleep immediately. It is so conducive to sleep in there. There's no like windows or anything. There's no natural light, so I cannot blame this man.
yeah, what, it was a question about a phone number, but what was the question going to be?
It was going to be after she talked to Quindaria Zachary, did she attempt to locate or did she have the kidnapping file?
Right.
Was she able to locate a phone number for Demise McMullen?
Okay.
And I still don't know who's.
Okay, King says a hack would not wipe an external drive. They would have to do that one by one for each drive. That's what I was originally thinking. But then I thought, well, maybe the hack just took every drive that was attached to every machine that was on the network. But I really just don't know a lot about computers. But I felt like that sounded a little far-fetched to me, too. Also, the paper files couldn't have been lost in a hack because they're papers? Yes. Oh my god, chocolate chip cookies are my absolute favorite, guys. Ugh, and I'm starting to get hungry. If the computer's not on the drive, it can't be. Oh wait, the computer is not on the drive, can't be. Okay, that's what I was thinking. And so that just doesn't even make sense. And I think Gaither made that shit up because if you remember, Gaither said she didn't like taking 911 calls. She made it very clear she does not like to do work. So I think she had a hard drive with notes on it, and that thing actually never truly existed because she's a liar. I'm glad, Sage, that I make you laugh. I'm glad.
Whose handwriting that is on the phone number information, but it was just going to be what was the phone number.
Okay, well, could you look at what is fine? What it was would be. I don't know why we have that echo also. Would.
We're good. I think we had one of them. And so initially what I was asking, because the number has already come out, that is the number, I think, on cross-examination. Mr. Steele asked Mr. Sprinkle, did he find communication between Demise McMullen and Kenneth Copeland is the best I remember? I don't remember, but he specifically asked, did you see calls between Demise McMullen and somebody else? And I came back and said, what number is it that you have for Demise McMullen? Mr. Sprinkle gave 404, that number.
That he thought was it, but he wasn't certain. Yeah.
No, he actually said this is the number. He didn't.
Okay.
Yes, and so all that I was doing with Sergeant Gaither is asking her, was that, and I started to ask the number because it was already in.
Ask her if she found the number, but
that's literally
what the number was is subject to a valid hearsay objection. So you can't ask what the number was.
Okay.
Oh, she didn't like that. Okay.
How much longer do you expect to have?
That was literally the last question.
Okay. We can talk about it during the non-jury days we're going to have, but we've got to streamline this case some more. This is just going to have to figure out a faster way to get to what it is that you want from each witness. I mean, in federal court, you know, they might just say.
Okay, so Whitaker's like, look, we're going to have some non-jury days coming up, and you have to streamline your case. You're going to have to figure out how to ask the questions that with the witness that you want faster. She is saying that directly to Miss Love. Miss Love takes 3 days of what a regular lawyer could do in 3 hours.
So you got an hour with this witness. And
do they limit both sides to?
This bitch says, do they limit both sides? Ma'am, there has yet to be a reason to limit the other side, okay? Their cross-examination takes like 10 minutes on 4 days of direct because you can't ask a fucking direct question to save your life.
Cross and state?
We'll talk about the witness list next week.
And Your Honor, yes, I understand.
Oh yeah, we'll be done by 10 with this witness, and we haven't even gotten across yet. After having her all day yesterday.
Ooh, Whitaker.
She was a Monday judge.
Whenever it was.
Monday was 2 days ago. She waited all day and did not testify.
Well, that's not the issue. The issue is how long she's on the stand testifying and how long every witness is on the stand testifying and how many witnesses there are in this case. It's just a lot.
Love is just so oblivious. And Whitaker is like, look at her. Look at this look on her face.
Your Honor, do the federal are both sides restricted to an amount of time?
Well, I mean, I would imagine that it's not like they let one side go on forever, but the other side only gets 10 minutes.
Which is what everyone in this courtroom has been doing. Because, as I recall, Whitaker has moved the cross-examination a lot faster than she's moved directs.
And given that the state does have the burden of proof, Your Honor.
I understand that, which is why I haven't done it yet. They don't need to self-regulate.
I provided the court with those cases, Your Honor.
You need to self-regulate. Then Weinstein says, I provided those cases with the court. Those cases saying that the court can limit their time. He's
So,
over
do
here.
the attorneys want to let your clients go have lunch while y'all examine this, or do you think y'all will be done in a few minutes and you want to question Gaither, or what's our best use of time?
I think we'll be done in a few.
Oh,
Okay.
Your Honor. Also, I'm being told I have not reviewed the transcript or anything, but I think that Sergeant Gaither may have said that she left APD and didn't have any of her files with her. I don't know, with respect to that testimony, if what was represented is what she said.
That seems to happen a lot, that detectives leave and they don't have access, and then for some reason, the DA's office, who would have access, doesn't seem to be able to get it. But that's just my observation from other cases.
Until they're correct.
What we can, we do.
I've been overruled by my colleagues, and we're asking for a little bit of time to review this.
Okay.
All of the exact charges.
So they go to lunch, and then they come back. Gaither didn't do anything on purpose. Gaither didn't do anything. She's lazy. She testified that she didn't like taking 911 calls as a cop. Like, you're a cop. You're supposed to answer 911 calls. It's like your job, dude. She didn't take any notes. She didn't do any work. She just came in these interrogations. She had a notepad to make it look like she did some shit. Please. Please. All right, so now we're about to get into her cross-examination. Now, this is where the I can't even do it. I can't do the breathing. This is where the breathing gets heavy, okay? So mind you, I'm out here doing my job. I'm not watching, I'm just listening. I just hear all this breathing, and I'm like, oh, what's that? I'm like, what is this sound? I thought it was Miss Love puffing and huffing. No, it turns out it was Gaither. Turns out it's Gaither huffing. Horrible. This guy is horrible. Oh, Lord. Here we go. Alright, so I just, want to spend the rest of my life with all of you. You guys are amazing. The rest of my life. No. I have a wonderful man who I'm spending my life with, and 2 children. But I am going to turn this cross on, and while I have the cross going, I'm going to take what did he call it? Oh, I forgot. I already forgot what Glanville called him. Well, I'm going to run it for you, and I'm going to run to the restroom, and then I'll be right back. So listen to... and try to count how many pants while I am off on my nature break. Here we go.
Okay, off the top of my head.
All right. Did you charge him with aggravated battery?
Your Honor, the question has been asked and answered. If Mr. Sharp would provide something, she's asking for something to refresh her memory.
She says she doesn't know the exact charges, so I'm trying to work through it with her. Do you recall charging him with aggravated battery for shooting Denise Bell?
Yes, I'm speaking of when you say counts. I can't recall how many exact counts. Is
I
what I'm saying.
understand, and I'm not going to press you on that. Yeah. Criminal damage to property?
Okay.
Was that gang charges?
It sounds about right. I don't know off the top of my head everything that he was charged with.
You charged him with gang charges, gang act violations?
Yes.
And you charged him with possession of a firearm during commission of a felony?
That sounds about right.
All right. And he also had pending, he was still on bond for it, but he had pending the case from May 5th of 2015 when an officer found a gun in Summer Good's car, correct?
Okay.
You discussed that in an interview about his bond conditions and all the rest.
I'm trying to remember.
Okay.
It was before, so I'm sure the case wasn't dissolved by the time I talked to him in August. So.
Okay, so he has his case of shooting houses, and then he has a separate case.
The gun possession, yes.
Gun possession, right. And at the time on August 5th, from July 28, 2015, when he was arrested to August 5th, he didn't have a bond, right?
I don't recall.
Okay. All right. You talked about calls that were made in the beginning of that, you said something to the fact, it's not a quote. Your people are calling me, so, I'm here now. What do you have to say?
Okay.
Is that paraphrasing? Is that
Sure.
right? All right. And I think you testified that you gave your number to certain people related to him. Who did you give your number to?
His mother.
His mother. Okay. Is that your standard practice, to give your number to people that you arrest?
Yes.
Or the family members of people you arrest?
A search warrant was executed at her home, so a lot of people have my phone number. It's a common practice of mine, yes.
Okay. Kenneth Copeland, did he have your number?
You're aware that he had my number?
Okay. Did his family members have your number?
I don't think I spoke with any of his family members.
What about Ms. Quarterman? Did she have your number?
I believe so.
Okay. And that was his girlfriend at the time?
His child's mother, yes.
All right. Demekion Garlington, did he have your number?
No.
Did his family members have your number?
Yes.
Okay. Going back to, and I'm specifically talking about Mr. Zachary now.
Mm-hmm.
When you made reference to people calling on his behalf or to get you to go out and talk to him, who specifically was it that was calling?
Best of my memory, it was his mother and his girlfriend at the time, Miss Good.
Okay. And these calls would have taken place in between July 28, 2015 and August 5th, 2015. Is that fair to say? These calls would have happened after his arrest?
I would assume. I'm not 100% certain. But it was definitely after the search warrant was executed at his home.
Do you know what date the search warrant was?
I don't know off the top of my head.
How many times did his mother call you?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and
Sustained.
How many times did Summer Good call you?
relevance. Objection.
Let me ask you, are there any reports regarding these phone conversations you had with Mr. Zachary's mother or girlfriend that you generated?
No.
Okay. Were these phone calls you had with Mr. Zachary's mother and girlfriend, were they recorded?
I don't believe so.
All right. On direct, you talked about your practice of not revealing your cards first. Remember that?
I don't think I used the word cards, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, I'm not directly quoting you.
Okay.
But the idea that you hold back your information because you don't want the person that you're interrogating to know what you know and then structure a story around what they know you know.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. People lie in the interrogation room, don't they?
Objection, Your Honor. One, relevance as to what people do, and two, speaking of the veracity of a witness is exactly the thing that the court has instructed the witness not to do.
That's not as to a particular witness. Overruled.
And Your Honor, then objection, relevance as to what other people do.
Sustained.
Okay. You hold back information because you're concerned about people crafting their lies around what they would know you know.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Why do you hold back information from people in the interrogation room?
An objection that was asked and answered.
Sustained.
Your Honor, it wasn't asked and answered by me, and I'm trying to lay the foundation to go somewhere with this.
Okay, well, you just asked a question very similar to that, so.
Well, my recollection was objected to. That's why I'm asking open-ended now. Why do you withhold? I asked if she withholds information. I'm asking why do you withhold information from people in the interrogation room?
Your Honor,
You just asked her about the testimony she gave on direct as to why she did that. And she answered. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay. In your experience, do people in the interrogation room try to protect themselves?
objection, relevance as to what people in the interrogation room do.
Okay, thank you guys. Comfort break. Sorry, I forgot what I was on. Comfort break. We got 14 huffs and puffs so far. 14 so far. I was gone on this, no, 16, my bad. I was on this comfort break for, what, 3 minutes? We got 16 puffs? There's one from Lauren. Oh, no.
Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
And in
Oh,
that,
shit. Sorry, guys. Oh, man. I pushed the wrong button.
It's on the table?
I believe so.
Is that the file for?
Is that, I'm looking at kind of a rust brown file. That the typical appearance of one of the files that you would have copied or copy and sent to the DA's office?
Not all the time, but I do use these file folders like this.
Okay, so there's nothing about that file that indicates that's not something you sent to the DA's office?
That I didn't?
Yes, there's nothing about that file itself. For instance, you're not saying, I've never used that type of folder or anything like that. That's consistent with something that you would send to the DA's office.
I've used it in the past. I've used manila folders. I've used envelopes.
All right, and I'm going to ask, I think I know this, but you don't specifically remember what the appearance of the copy you made on the Dexter Montgomery case looked like?
Not the actual folder, or no, not the actual folder.
Okay, but the contents are consistent with copies that you would have made and sent to the DA's office, correct?
Yes, they have a copy on it with my initials and the date.
Okay, that's helpful. Thank you for telling me that. Could you show me where your initials are? So that initial right there, and I'm not trying to give you a hard time, I'm just trying to understand, that initial right there, is that in relation to that specific document, or is that the first document in the folder, so it relates to the folder itself?
If you're talking about the actual folder, not the contents, I can't say that I initial the folder, but the contents, if a copy was made of a particular document,
Gotcha.
I wrote copy with my initials and the date.
Okay, gotcha. All right, thank you.
Any other defense attorneys who have any questions for Sergeant Gaither about this issue?
Not yet, Mr. Williams, Your Honor.
Okay, so they're just proving up the notes. Like, are these really yours? You know, stuff they should have done, oh, I don't know, 7 months ago.
May I just ask a question?
You may.
Retired Sergeant Gaither, does this file, is this the file that I asked you whether you recognized before you came in to testify the last time? This whole?
Just now, yes.
Yes. And you mean when you say just?
Yeah.
When we said the last time, are we talking about earlier today, or are we talking about April?
Earlier today. Is this the file that I asked you if you recognized? Did I ask you before you came in here, at the time you looked at it, notice or take note of the fact that each of the documents inside from your file had the word copy on it? Did you notice that at that time?
Yes. Notice my initials just now?
No, not just now.
Oh, no. Prior to, yes.
And when I spoke to you before you came in, before you testified where there was where the jury was in here, did I ask you specifically about an incident report that is on the back page of the file folder itself regarding Demise McMullen and the kidnapping?
Yes.
Did I ask you
I think that was number 19. I think she's still huffing, even though she's the witness right now for Adrian Love. She's still doing her huffing.
About if that was a part of your file?
Yes.
Did I ask you at that time about some handwritten notes that are a part of this file?
Yes.
That I'm holding in my hand before you came in the last time?
Yes.
Did I? When you're describing yes, what do you mean? Whether or not it before you on break while we were during, or would that have been in your original file?
Yes, you asked me that. Yes, you asked me that.
What was your answer?
No.
So this certified copy of Walter Murphy's conviction was not in your original file?
No, ma'am.
And this writing on this piece of paper I'm holding up wasn't either?
No.
Okay. But did I ask you about any of the things that had copy on them before you testified in front of the jury?
I'm sorry. This person who breathes like this is security? She's a security person? Now, the only person that breathes like that could be my security is Mr. Darth Vader. I mean, the Lord Darth Vader. Okay? Because what? No. Vader doesn't need to run. He can just get you with the Force. Not her.
Or was my question, look at it, did you documents? Have I shown you any file?
No.
Any or your interview on the side?
I did.
Afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Have you looked through what everyone's calling the file, but I'm referring to the brownish colored? It's being held up right now. Have you looked through all those documents by any chance today?
Not thoroughly, no, sir.
All right. If the court lets you, would you just look through it and just tell us if there's anything from your file on this April 12th, I think I got the date right, April 12th, 2015 shooting, the Dexter Montgomery shooting, that is not in what Mr. Atkins is holding right now?
I couldn't tell you every piece of information or document that should be in the original file. That was almost 10 years ago. I couldn't tell you either way.
All right. Okay.
Okay. That was almost 10 years ago. I can't tell you either way. Exactly why we shouldn't be here.
Thank you. Thank you, Your Honor.
Yes.
When you make copies of your files for the DA's office, about cases that the DA's office will be prosecuting, do you omit pertinent police reports from those copied files?
Do I omit pertinent?
Do you leave things out, or do you copy everything?
If it's information that I have from my original file, it will go into the copy.
Okay, thank you.
Yes.
Hey, Sergeant, good afternoon.
Sir, good afternoon.
A couple questions just to follow up. You testified earlier that you said portions of it I will send over to the district attorney's office. Can you tell the court, as a practice, pattern of what you do in terms of getting that information to the DA's office, what are those portions that you would send over to the district attorney's office when you're sending the file over?
Well, initially, I don't know if APD still uses the complaint room or what the process is now, but that's what I followed up with that question. A lot of information would not necessarily be in a complaint room case file that you would initially send over to the DA's office. So that's what I was speaking of. You would have the original police reports. There's surveillance stills or videos, stuff like that would be sent over to the complaint room. If whatever district attorney is assigned to the case for preliminary hearings or information like that, if they would like the entire file, then the file would be copied and sent to them. So I was speaking more or less about portions of the file would be sent to the complaint room.
Okay.
If that makes sense to you.
Okay, so what are generally the documents that you, as a matter of your practice, would routinely be held back with your office, with you and your file, that would not go to the district attorney's office?
Your Honor, could he clarify when he says would not? Does he mean initially or ever?
Oh my
Well,
God.
let's-
What do you mean?
okay, well, let's just break that up.
Yes, sir.
The documents that are in your file that you house in your folder as part of an investigation, you said portions will go to the district attorney's office. So that suggests to me that there are portions that don't.
Well, to the district attorney's office, I mean the complaint room. So early on in the case, when you're charged and you obtain your warrant, it has to go to the complaint room. So a lot of information or documents may not exist yet until, let's say, after you interview the person, and you may obtain more information. So therefore, it will be added to the original file.
Okay, all right. So then it's basically the investigation is continuing to be ongoing from the time that some documents make it to the complaint room and the time that other pieces of your file will eventually go to the district attorney's office at a later date. Am I understanding you?
Correct. The complaint room is part of the district attorney's office, but it's one of the initial, I guess, attorneys that touch the case. So once the case is, I don't know what the process is of assigning a case to a particular district attorney to prosecute in court for preliminary hearings or trial. The initial portions of an original case file will go to the complaint room, which is just the first portion of evidence that you obtain. So the complaint room basically looks over your case and they make the determination if it's prosecutable or you need more things to go forward with the case actually being assigned to an actual attorney.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, anybody else?
Please.
All right.
And we have the date, the email date for today.
I believe that it is that fair
It's fair, but like I said, it appears that they may have added some documents to that.
once
but,
they had it in
yeah.
their possession.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
All right. Okay, are we ready for the jury?
Your Honor, on the lunch break, Mr. Sharp handed to Mr. Atkins a thumb drive of exhibits that he said he's going to use. At the time that he gave it to us, we could not open it or access it, and I think he did something in the last few moments that allows us to access. I don't know what's on it.
Push it in. It's been rectified, Your Honor. Me and Mr. Sharp.
To see what's on it?
No, we're looking.
Your Honor, because it was my fault for not being able to open it.
And is the video already?
He
Okay, let's get the jury.
fixed it. She breathes like my dad snored. My dad used to joke that he was gonna choke in his sleep even though he didn't have fun the night before.
Lunch. I asked you regarding the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery shooting, whether or not you looked at a file before you spoke in front of the jury that contained documents. Do you recall talking to the jury about that?
Yes.
And
I thought Love had already asked her last question and she was done with this witness.
do you recall telling the jury or telling me that it looked like the file that you kept in the Dexter Montgomery case?
Yes.
Have you had a chance to look at portions of the file even more closely while you were on lunch break?
Yes.
And does the portions of the file that you looked at have the words copy on them?
Yes.
And was the file that you saw, did it contain portions of your file, your original file?
I'm going to overrule that. I think we're just trying to get through this to establish what this is. And we all, so.
Based on information we were just given, that's a misrepresentation of what it contains.
Lulu, does anyone know how Love lost her job as judge? Was it an elected position? I'm glad you brought that up because Belinda and I did some research on that this week. No, she was not elected. She was an associate judge, which is a hired position. Every associate judge I've ever heard of is hired for that position and continues to be an associate judge for the rest of their lives until they run to be judge and get elected. I have never heard of anyone being fired from an associate judge job, and I've never heard of anyone being an associate judge for a year and then going back to prosecuting. So I don't know what happened there with that job, but I could guess. I'm not going to speculate, but she only did it for a year. And I've been doing this, I've been licensed for 13, I've been in the industry for 16, and I've never heard of anything like that ever happening.
Okay, sustained. I don't know, ask another question. Ask it differently.
Okay. Is the file you looked at, in fact, your original file or copy of portions of the file?
She can say what it is or what it isn't. She's
Original file, and there are documents that were added to that particular.
In your original, and in that report involving the kidnapping of Demise McMullen, did you have
Dude, she said she was done with this witness.
information?
Now she's had this witness for.
Sergeant Gaither.
Good afternoon.
Oh, she had the witness for 4 more minutes. She said she was done with her and still had her for 4 more minutes. No, I think she got fired. I don't think she was demoted, Zahir. I think she was fired. I think she was let go. Which is crazy. It's really hard to get fired from a government job.
Good afternoon, Detective Gaither. Sergeant Gaither.
Good afternoon.
My name's Doug Weinstein. I represent Diamante Kendrick.
Yes, sir.
Okay. I just want to ask you a few questions about your interview with Mr. Zachary. In that interview with Mr. Zachary, when he is asked where he got the information about the murder of Donovan Thomas, at one point Zachary says, "Yak told me," correct?
Yes.
Okay. And then you asked him why, presumably why did Yak tell Zachary that information? You recall asking him why?
I do.
But he didn't respond to that. He did not give you a why as to why Yak would tell Mr. Zachary that, correct?
Objection, Your Honor. The video.
Adrian didn't like this. So, what's about to get really annoying is that Weinstein and all of the lawyers are about to cross-examine, and they're going to cross-examine about this video that Love just played and off the transcript that Love just used, and she's going to object to best evidence rule. Why is that so fucking annoying? Because we have watched Miss Love read transcripts to the jury. That is not the best evidence. So if you understand best evidence rule for the defense, why don't you understand it in the presentation of your own case? She's a fucking nightmare, that's why. But here we go. Here we go.
Is the best evidence of that.
After he didn't tell you why.
Objection assumes facts not in evidence.
Next time this bitch tries to read a transcript, I hope and I pray they make best evidence objections, because it's a lot of gumption that woman has, okay?
In the video,
Your Honor.
Overruled.
after he didn't tell you why, you didn't follow up at all, did you?
Follow up with what, sir?
You didn't ask him repeatedly why. You did not delve into that further. You let the conversation go a completely
Objection,
different
vague
direction,
and
correct?
compound.
Sustained.
After he failed to answer your question, you did not follow up, correct?
Follow
As to
up.
why.
I'm not
Vague,
understanding.
objection, vague.
Follow up.
On FaceTime with my mama. Why you?
He failed to answer your question as to why. You did not, again, ask why, correct?
Correct.
Okay. And you also asked a little later in that same interview, what exactly did they say? What exactly did Yak say? Do you recall that?
At what portion of the interview?
In what portion?
You stated that later on.
5 minutes into the interview,
Okay.
you say, what exactly?
Oh no, guys, my internet's starting to act up. Uh-oh. Oh no.
A lot of detail as to the specific information that Mr. Kendrick, Yak, allegedly said to Mr. Zachary, correct?
Specifically, he stated the names that Yak told him that were involved.
When you are asking Zachary about Diamante Kendrick, you didn't, for example, ask Zachary the reasons that Yak may have disclosed that information to Zachary?
Objection, that would have called for speculation that she would not have been able to.
Wait. He asked her, you did not ask about that. And then Love says objection, speculation. How is it speculating? How's it speculating? Jiggy said the Wi-Fi is sick of his Love too. I bet it is. It's like, God, ugh. No, GMO, I do not do traffic defense. I am mainly a real estate attorney, which means I do a lot of litigation. I'm in the courtroom, but I'm mainly doing civil work that has to do with real property. I do a lot of quiet title and those type of things. So, sorry, nomenclature about that little song. It's not mine. It just popped up on something else, guys. Sorry. Okay. As always, Weinstein is cooking. This man, to me, I love it. I love I love the idea of like being someone of like a few words, you know, like the idea he just like he doesn't get up and talk that much, he doesn't object all that much, he doesn't do, but God, when he does, it is so impactful, and I love that. I hope that when I speak it's impactful, at least in the courtroom.
That would not be admissible anyway unless it came from.
You can ask the question, whether she asked the question.
An objection of relevance as to whether she would have asked Mr. Zachary to speculate about what is in Mr. Kendrick's mind.
She asked Mr. Zachary lots of questions about reasons and motivations for people doing things.
I believe Mr. Quindarius offered information about your client.
Okay, but can you answer my question?
What's your question again?
Would the court reporter please read the question back?
Oh yes, I saw that grateful.
Asked Mr. Zachary lots of questions about reasons and motivations for people doing things. For overruled.
You did the question before that.
There, yeah. No, it's my fault. I'm sorry. Thank you for your help. Could you read the question before that part?
There's going to be a lot of back and forth between the two of them before you get to the question.
Yes, if I was a judge, I absolutely would have called a mistrial by now. Period. End of story. And if I was a judge, I think I would probably utilize mistrials a lot more than they are, because, and I opened with this today. It's like the rules exist for a reason, okay? And the government needs to follow their own fucking rules. Period. And if I was a judge, that would be my job is to make sure you're following your rules. I don't think most judges really see their role that way. So I also would never be a judge, because that means I'd have to work for the government, and I don't want to do that.
For example, ask Zachary the reasons that they have disclosed certain information to Zachary.
Did I ask him the reasons?
Yeah, did you ask him the reasons?
No, I did not.
Okay. So really, you didn't ask Mr. Zachary a lot of questions about the specific information that he allegedly got from Diamante Kendrick.
No, that's not on the video.
Sorry?
No, that's not. On the video, no, I didn't.
I'm sorry?
No, I did not.
Okay. Let me ask you something else. There was a discussion on direct about the shooting at Club Crucial on January 6th, I believe. Do you recall that?
Yes, sir.
And one of the things you testified to is that Diamante Kendrick, he got arrested up the street from Club Crucial. Do you remember that?
I didn't say up the street from Club Crucial. She asked me if I knew that he was arrested that night of January 6th, and I stated after.
Okay.
Found out after.
You found out after?
Yes, sir.
And you know that arrest had nothing to do with that shooting at Club Crucial?
I don't know. I didn't charge him for that.
He wasn't. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, I didn't mean to cut you off.
So, I object to assuming facts not in evidence.
Sustained.
There's been. Can I just respond? We've had officers in here testify.
Move on to the next question.
Okay. Also, earlier today, you testified when we're talking about how you corroborated information, that one of the ways you corroborated the information that Mr. Zachary gave you was because Zachary, Sledge, and Turner all were from Capitol Homes. Do you recall that?
How I corroborated information?
Yes.
I don't believe I answered. Corroboration came from them because they were from Capitol Homes.
That wouldn't make any sense, would it?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and
overruled.
That wouldn't make any sense, would it?
To who?
To anyone, that you corroborate information because they are from Capitol Homes.
Your Honor, objection. Number one, it mischaracterizes the testimony.
Sustained.
Would them coming from Capitol Homes, them being Zachary?
I don't know. Doug is so sassy. I mean, he's just so sassy, guys. I love it so much. It reminds me of me and my sisters. Well, one of my sisters. One of my sisters not sassy at all. She just laughs at me and the other sister because we're really sassy.
Zachary, Sledge, and Turner corroborate anything?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance.
Would that corroborate anything, the fact that they are from Capitol Homes?
No, we're talking about something specific involving this case.
This was your testimony. I'm sorry. This was your testimony from this morning. I'm just trying to ask you a question. Would Zachary, Sledge, and Turner coming from Capitol Homes corroborate anything?
Objection. Mischaracterizes her testimony.
All right. I've got no further questions for you. Thank you.
Okay, that's the witness.
Okay, come on up. This is giving me that cash is full.
Okay, here comes Shard. This is when we really start to get attitude. The attitude really starts to come out on full effect here. Okay, this is attitude nation we have reached. Gaither clearly does not like Shard.
Certainly when we talk to Mr. Question. Utilize that. Okay. All right.
Tired, Sergeant Gaither. I think you know this, but my name is Max Shard. I represent Shannon Stillwell.
Yes, sir.
I want to first talk about this file. May I approach the witness with the file?
Bro, that's like a real ass file. I didn't realize it was like in. That's like a real file. That's like a file.
Can I just refer to you as Sergeant Gaither? I know you're retired, but okay.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Sergeant, Gaither, as I understand it, you were the lead investigator on the Dexter Montgomery shooting case, correct?
Yes.
Okay, now
The secondary investigator. I'm sorry.
that shooting was from April 12, 2015.
The secondary investigator, yes. It was originally assigned to someone, and then my unit took over the case.
You eventually took over.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And as part of your duties as the lead investigator, once you took over, you maintained a case file, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And that case file was an original file that would have the work you did, the police reports generated, and all the information regarding the work that you did on the case, correct?
Your Honor, these questions were asked and answered several months ago, the first time that Sergeant
Okay,
Gaither
well,
was
then
on.
they were. Let's not go over
Well,
it again.
we now have the case.
No,
copy of the case
well,
file.
no, we don't.
Okay, we have a copy. So,
Your Honor, I object to the testimony that the jury has heard what witnesses said, and I object to Mr. Sharp attempting to put information before the jury that she's not said. And
I like
Okay,
it.
just ask her a question. About,
So,
you know,
as-
don't recover stuff that's already been established.
as I
I like
understand, that original case file was left in the cabinet in
objection,
APD.
that was asked and answered months
It's
ago.
overruled. It's just recalling her to whatever
Yeah,
it was she said
dude.
before. But move on.
First of all, Miss Love, you are the only one that remembers what was asked and answered in April. Okay? You are the singularly only human being in that courtroom who remembers. So let the man refresh everybody's memory and bring us up to speed, because I don't remember.
On and get to
I would-
whatever you want to ask now.
As I recall, you testified that that original case file was left in the cabinet of APD when you left.
Yes.
Okay. And you have now identified that file that's next to you that Ms. Love brought to court today as a copy of that file, correct?
I don't think those were my exact words.
What are your exact words?
I stated there are portions of this file that are copies of my original file.
Okay, so let me break that down.
Yes,
It's
sir.
a copy of your original file, but then there's also additional materials that someone else added.
Objection, Your Honor, mischaracterizes what witness said.
She can correct me if I'm wrong.
This is overruled.
Is that correct? That it was your original file? That's a copy of your original file, and then someone else added some other documents.
I cannot tell you if that is my original file because I don't remember all of the contents of the original file. There are portions and documents of things that were in my original file that are now in this folder right here. And there are also portions that I don't know where they came from that are in this folder as well.
Okay. And when
Okay, so what I don't understand is what's with the tone. Now, me as like a girl attorney and like how I like to be in front of the jurors is like not really the aggressive version of myself that I usually am. I'm a lot softer. So I probably myself would just say something like, you know, Detective Gaither, is there something I've done to offend you? No. Okay, well then is there a reason you can't just speak to me clearly without tone? Nomenclature depends. If the mistrial is with prejudice, no. If it's without prejudice, yes.
When you make a copy of your original file and send it to the DA's office, you would want to include the pertinent parts of your investigation, correct?
Sure.
Because they're the ones that are going to be prosecuting the case, the DA's office.
At what stage of the case, like I stated to this gentleman here, different stages of the case going through the court system, you will receive different pieces of evidence. And maybe starting in the beginning, like the complaint room, you may not have all pieces of evidence or documents that'll end up in your original file at the end. So therefore, different stages that the case goes to the DA's office, you may not have all of the information.
It would contain the information for the work that you had done up to that point.
In the original file or portions of the file. At different stages, once again, you will receive different pieces of information. When I'm done with the case, all the information I have for a particular case will be in that original file.
Right. And then the original file is copied and sent to the DA's office. Correct?
Sir, I don't know a different way to explain to you what,
Do you withhold
what I'm saying.
information
I
from
don't
the
know.
DA's office?
Your Honor, objection as to relevance and objection. She's asked and
Sustained.
answered.
Okay.
That was the judge. That was the judge. The judge gets so sick of Love's objections. All the these are objections that you get points for in mock trial. You're not getting points for them here. It's not going to help with your appeal.
Okay. As the lead investigator of the Dexter Montgomery case shooting back in 2015, do you remember the names Cornelius Davis, Carrion Mooney, and Christian James?
Objection, Your Honor. These were covered months ago. The same
Well,
question
and
was
that's why
asked and answered.
we're calling it for the jury and for the witness.
Go ahead.
Do you recall the names Cornelius Davis, Carrion Mooney, and Christian James?
Yes.
Okay, they were individuals that were, your investigation led you to believe were in the car with Dexter Montgomery at the time he was shot, correct?
Your Honor, this again asked and answered. So objection.
Okay, I mean, I don't know what we're getting at here.
I'll get there soon.
Get there really soon.
Those are individuals that were in the car with
How's she going to tell Mr. Maxwell Shard to get there really soon when Adrian beats around the bush Love can never actually get to a fucking point? It irritates me. It really irritates me.
Mr. Montgomery, per your investigation?
They were victims in that case, yes, sir.
Okay. And they were also witnesses?
Sure.
Your Honor, I would like to play some prior testimony from April 29, 2024.
Your Honor, I object.
Of this witness?
Yes.
I object to, the jury has already heard the testimony.
For what purpose? Y'all approach.
How dare she object? It's the video you just played. Why could we not see it again? That woman, her audacity, y'all, it's audacious. Her audacity is higher than
Paraphrasing, is that right? All right. And I think you testified that you gave the number, your number, to certain people related to him. Who did you give your number to?
His mother.
His mother. Okay. Is that
His mother.
your standard practice? To give your number to people that you arrest?
Yes,
Or the family, I'm sorry, the family members of people you arrest.
a search warrant was executed at her home, so a lot of people have my phone number. It's a common practice of mine, yes.
Okay. Kenneth Copeland, did he have your number?
You're aware that he had my number?
Okay.
just because he's aware. See, that's the exact same thing that like Montunk did, right? Well, you're aware, Ms. Love, and it doesn't sound great. The jury's not going to take that real well. It's pretty defiant and kind of like dickish behavior, you know? And you are a lead detective, so you should not be defiant or dickish.
Did his family members have your number?
I don't think I spoke with any of his family members.
What about Ms. Quarterman? Did she have your number?
I believe so.
Okay, and that was his girlfriend at the time? His mother?
His child's mother, yes.
Right. Demekion Garlington, did he have your number?
No.
Did his family members have your number?
Yes.
Okay.
Even though Shard is left-handed, I still like him and admire him.
Going back to, and I'm specifically talking about Mr. Zachary now.
Mm-hmm.
When you made reference to people calling on his behalf
It's a lefty joke, guys. Just a joke. Just a joke about lefties, that's all.
or to get you to go out and talk to him, who specifically was it that was calling?
The best of my memory, it was his mother and his girlfriend at the time, Miss Good.
Okay. And these calls would have taken place in between July 28, 2015 and August 5th, 2015. Is that fair to say? These calls would have happened after his arrest?
I would assume. I'm not 100% certain. But it was definitely after the search warrant was executed at his home.
Do you know what date the search warrant was?
I don't know off the top of my head.
How many times did his mother call you?
Objection, Your Honor. Relevance and
Sustained.
How many times did Summer Good call you?
relevance. Objection.
Let me ask you, are there any reports regarding these phone conversations you had with Mr. Zachary's mother or girlfriend that you generated?
No.
Okay. Were these phone calls you had with Mr. Zachary's mother and girlfriend, were they recorded?
I don't believe so.
All right. On direct, you talked about your practice of not revealing your cards first. Remember that?
I don't think I used the word cards, but I understand what you're saying.
Okay. Well, I'm not directly quoting you.
Okay.
But the idea that you hold back your information because you don't want the person that you're interrogating to know what you know and then structure a story around what they know you know.
Okay.
Does that sound about right?
More or less, yeah.
Okay. People lie in the interrogation room, don't they?
Objection, Your Honor. One, relevance as to what people do, and two, speaking of the veracity of a witness is exactly the thing that the court has instructed the witness not to do.
That's not as to a particular witness overruled.
And Your Honor, then objection relevance as to what other people do.
Sustained.
Okay.
Oh my God.
You hold back information because you're concerned about people crafting their lies around what they would know you know.
Objection, Your Honor.
Rephrase.
Why do you hold back information from people in the interrogation room?
An objection that was asked and answered.
Sustained.
Your Honor.
Oh my fucking God. I'm sorry, she frustrates the shit out of me.
It wasn't asked and answered by me, and I'm trying to lay the foundation to go somewhere with this.
Okay, well, you just asked a question very similar to that, so.
My recollection was objected to. That's why I'm asking open-ended now. Why do you withhold? I asked if she withholds information. I'm asking why do you withhold information from people in the interrogation room?
Your Honor.
You just asked her about the testimony she gave on direct as to why she did that.
Yeah.
And she answered. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Okay.
And I don't like that because Miss Love would have been allowed to ask that same question 8,000 times in 8,000 ways, even though it would produce the same result. And here she's like stopping short. I don't. I don't like that.
In your experience, do people in the interrogation room try to protect themselves?
Objection. Relevance as to what people in the interrogation room do.
Are we speaking about a particular case? I mean, everybody's different.
I'm talking about in your experience.
In my experience, everyone is different. They have different reasons and motivations for what they say.
In your experience, in the interrogation room, do people attempt to shift blame onto others?
Everyone has different motives and tactics that they use to try to outsmart us, unless you're talking about someone specific. I don't want to just generalize all of my experience and all of my
Oh, you don't want to generalize now. Suddenly, we don't want to generalize.
interrogations.
Okay, well, all right, let's talk about a specific example that came up on direct.
Okay.
Ms. Love asked you about Quindarius Zachary informing you that Kenneth Copeland, Woody, and Antonio Sledge Moontomb shot shell cal on Martin Luther King.
Shut at.
Shell cal on Martin Luther King.
I don't know. Objection is to.
Miss Love just interjected into his question. Shot at. Y'all. About once a month, I get pretty moody. And I'm not gonna lie, if I was in that time during that month and Miss Love just interjected in my question, I would go ape shit. I would go ape shit. Ma'am, I am asking the questions right now. Do not add words to my questions for me. Objection, Your Honor. Please tell counsel to wait her turn. Those men, that man standing right there is a stronger human being than Lauren Cadillac, because oh no would not be good. Thank you, 504, welcome. You know, in Texas, and I believe throughout much of the country of Mexico, we will throw a chancla. Do you understand? Like, no. No. Just like I would my dog. No. Miss Love, may I see you in the hall? Taking out my earrings. Honestly, I would just turn myself in. Just arrest me now because I'm gonna kill this bitch.
She out. You know what? I would draw it out.
Yeah, my last. Oh my god.
Ask the question.
Thank you. Do you remember?
Shot at Kelvin Watts? Yes.
Yes. Do you remember being asked about that?
Yes.
Okay. And you were asked if Woody admitted to that when you interviewed him, right?
Okay.
And you chuckled.
I don't remember chuckling. Just now or then?
No, then.
I don't recall.
Okay.
I want to say, of course not, is what I stated.
Of course not.
Of course not.
Why did you say of course not?
Because we all know that he didn't. We watched several interviews with him, and he did not state anything about that.
Okay. That would have been against his legal interests, right?
Objection, Your Honor. As to
Sustained.
In fact, Mr. Copeland said he denied doing anything out on the streets. He said that people were always throwing his name into
objection,
things
Your
that
Honor.
other people did, correct?
Relevance and the best evidence was what they've already seen.
All right. Okay. Let me ask you this. You, as an investigator, wanted to talk to Mr. Zachary when you had him in the interrogation room about things he was accused of first. That was your first line of questioning, correct?
The case that I had for him, yes.
Right, the shooting up the houses from April 28th.
Correct.
All right. Your Honor, permission to publish DS41A.
Yeah, those are all part of the. Yeah.
Right, and it's 21851 to 22201.
Okay, Viati, thank you so much for the $4.99 super chat. Love coaches the witness by nodding and moving papers. They need to make her sit still. Yeah, like her nodding is so obnoxious that she should be sanctioned for it. For real. Now, the sifting papers, I've said this many times, that is the sound of court. That's all we do the whole time we're there.
Your Honor, with respect to,
Yes, sir.
Your Honor,
Yes, everyone who is asking, that is in fact Detective Gaither breathing like that into the microphone. Like I said, I was listening to this while I was working on Wednesday. And I'm like, who the hell is breathing like that? It's Gaither.
Yes.
okay, so I would object under 403 since the jury just heard this
She's
entire
gonna object under
interview
403. Bitch,
and
what?
ask that if there's a question, that the question be posed. But this portion of the entire interview has been played for the jury.
That's true. It was very recently played. Why don't you ask questions, and then if she needs her recollection refreshed about anything, you can do that.
You focused Quindarius Zachary on the April 28, 2015 incident, right? In the beginning of...
He can't even show evidence. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
The interview? Yes. Okay. And his first thing he said to you was, I wasn't there, correct? Yes. Okay. And he claimed to have information about the shooting, though, correct?
Your Honor, this has been asked, answered, and shown.
Your Honor, I have not asked this
It
witness.
doesn't matter whether you particularly have asked. It's already been asked.
Yes, it does. Actually,
By the state.
I think it does.
I'm not trying to argue with this court, but
Yeah,
I mean,
like, did you hear that? Hold on.
I've been up
This is Ms.
by the
Love.
state. I'm not trying to argue with this court, but I mean,
You see her shaking her head? Why are you still talking? That's what she just said. She shook her head and said, why are you still talking? So inappropriate. The jury is sitting right there.
I've been up here
If
for
we
5
already
minutes.
have the answer, just move on to something that we don't have the answer to yet.
Okay.
And then that Whitaker is moving him along like he's taken 4 days to do something that should be done in 4 hours. This is so frustrating. Wednesday was so frustrating. I was so glad they were off yesterday and today, I swear. I needed the break. I was so angry.
Mr. Zachary told you that Demekion told him all about what happened, correct? Demekion Garlington.
About what, sir? Which
April
portion?
28, 2015 shooting, Sergeant Gaither.
I don't believe that was exactly what he said.
Your Honor, may I play the video?
You may.
Thank you. Can we publish 41A, Mr. Kokomo? And that is 21851 to 22201.
One thing I do love about these videos is the video quality was so bad. There's like 8 of them. It looks like a music video of some sort.
What you been charged with? What you have to say about the case? You wasn't where? What did you hear about it? Where? Oh, I'm hanging out with me up to my DJ had jump. Like so. And then, you was out complete? Yeah. The party just asked me to go over. And then, she told me, that she had got shot at too. That thing, not? She said that they had gotten a whole bunch of them. And then, like, your gang had, pulled up in my cousin's house. My cousin go there one night and take 3, y'all know. Mm-hmm. Yeah, where is this house? My cousin. I don't know. I heard.
We've all seen these videos a million times.
After seeing that video, you would agree that Mr. Zachary first said he wasn't there. Yes. But he said he had information about what happened, right?
Yes.
And he said he got that information because Demekion came over his house and confessed it all the next day.
Your Honor,
he didn't use the
I
word
object to the best evidence. And so,
Okay, overruled.
Did you finish your
confess.
question?
And his source, he claimed his source of information was not from being there, but from Demekion telling him the next day.
Correct. And also that portion, that first story that he just told about Demekion telling him and all of this was a lie, that he was actually there.
Well, I understand that, but that's what he told you. I'm not asking if it's true. That's what he told you.
Yes, that's what he told me.
Okay. And you had records, phone records. So I'm not asking you to comment on anyone's veracity, but you weren't believing what he was saying. He wasn't fooling you when he told you that.
Your Honor, this is asked and answered, so objection.
Sustained.
Okay. Later on, you called him out. When I say later on, I'm talking about just after that clip. You called him out on what he was saying, correct? You
Your Honor,
challenged him.
objection under 403. They've just heard, and she's been asked.
Okay. He's trying to do his examination, so I'm going to overrule that one.
Thank you.
You challenged him,
It's not mock trials. Just shut the fuck up.
correct?
Yes.
Okay. And he pled with you. He said, I'm being honest.
Is that a question?
Let's hear it.
Well, that wasn't on that clip. That wasn't on that clip. He told you in the interview room he was being honest. Correct?
Objection, Your Honor. They saw it on the other clip. So best evidence.
Sustained.
Okay. He promised you he wasn't there, correct?
Your Honor, I object. Best evidence. The jury has seen it.
Sustained.
Asked and answered.
If it's best evidence, I will gladly play the clip. Is that
Your Honor,
Yeah.
they've already seen it. This has been asked and answered.
You don't get to have both.
all right? Okay. still talking about April 28th. Okay. April 28th, through your investigation, you came to realize that there was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
No. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yes.
I would object, asked, answered, and best evidence.
Overruled.
You're the lead investigator in the case. There was a shooting at Landrum, correct?
That's what Mr. Zachary stated. I don't believe I was able to find any evidence that occurred.
Okay.
Just best of my recollection, I don't believe I...
That's fair. Mr. Zachary claimed that his cousin Alexis Bryant and his girlfriend Summer Good were in that residence at Landrum when that shooting occurred. What he was claiming was a shooting occurred, correct?
Okay, yes.
All right. And the story was that Summer Good, his girlfriend, called him for help. Correct?
Yes.
All right. And as lead investigator on this case, you're aware that at Adele and Drew Drive, the subsequent shootings for which Mr. Zachary was charged, there were shell casings found on those scenes, correct?
Okay.
Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And Mr. Zachary, you're aware that he was arrested with a certain gun on May 7, 2015?
A certain gun?
Yes.
Yes, he was arrested with a firearm.
Okay. And that was 9 days after the April 28th shooting, correct?
Yes.
All right. And the ballistics from the shell casings at the scenes that you were investigating matched the ballistics of the gun
I want to
that
object
Mr.
based on hearsay unless there's a stipulation. So I'm going to...
Sustained.
Okay. I will move on. Mr. Zachary, in his statements to you, he admitted he was there at Mr. Sledge never shot.
That's what he stated, yes.
Okay. And he named 3 shooters as my client, Shannon Stillwell, Shannon Jackson, Trevante Turner, and Ali Lee Caldwell, or he said Lee.
Right.
Okay. Said in court that you looked at some social media post with Trevante and Lee in it, correct?
And trade on, yes.
And trade on. Okay. Shannon was not in this social media post.
No.
Okay. When did you look at this social media post?
The exact date I'm unsure of, but it was during the early portion of this operation.
At the condo around 9 p.m., correct?
Okay, so we keep going.
Which part do you want me to answer first?
9 p.m. Is that what he said?
I don't recall him saying 9 p.m.
Okay. In that video, Mr. Zachary is telling you, after you saw contextual details, that Shannon made these statements to him when he and Moontunk pulled up to Jeffrey's condo.
And I believe in the rest of that, in context, he stated that they didn't want to say anything in front of Moontuk because Moontuk talked too much.
Okay.
So I don't believe it was in this moment when they saw your client walking in that he told him in front of Moontuk.
Well, so what's your understanding? When do you believe it occurred?
I believe he further states that he didn't tell him right in that moment that he said it in front of Moontuk.
Well, I mean, you'd want the details, so if that's not when it occurred, I'm asking you, when did this alleged statement from Mr. Stillwell occur? If not then?
You probably should ask Mr. Quindarius that while he was on the stand.
Oh, bitch. No, you don't need to tell me what I needed to ask someone. Answer my question. I'm so glad I don't practice in Fulton County because a judge in Dallas County would not accept an answer like that out of a smart-ass witness like her. No. Not in a Dallas County courtroom.
I did. Okay. Are you aware, you agree that Mr. Zachary is talking about a time before Mr. Stillwell goes to see girls that night?
Yes, when they saw him walking out of the condo is what he was talking about here.
Are you aware that story changed in 2017?
Your Honor, I object to assuming facts not in evidence until...
Sustained.
No, it's in evidence. We heard Quindarius Zachary
We have played that
testify
clip,
to it.
and that's in evidence.
It is.
With Mr. Zachary.
It is,
We played
yeah.
a clip from 2017.
It was
2017?
last
Yes.
week. Yeah, he talked about it last week. Actually, I was there.
Are you aware that his story about when it occurred changed when he spoke to law enforcement and district attorneys in 2017?
I was not in the gang unit in 2017. I was not in the gang unit in 2017.
Let's talk about what Quindarius Zachary claimed Mr. Stillwell said. In the 2015 interview with you, you agree that he said Shannon told him caught nut down bad.
They caught nut down bad, yes.
Okay. And Mr. Zachary also claimed that Mr. Stillwell gave him details about what had occurred. Told him what happened. Told him who was in the car, for instance.
Yes.
Okay. And told him about going to meet Bushi and riding around in the car, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Are you aware that in 2017...
Your Honor, I'm going to object. If the witness has said she wasn't there in 2017, there's no good faith basis to ask if she knows anything about it. She said she never saw the video. So I'd object to lack of foundation. No good faith basis.
Sustained.
Are these changing stories pretty consistent?
Your Honor, objection.
Sustained.
All right. Now, You were asked if, on direct, if you made any promises to Mr. Zachary. Remember that? Promises about bond or promises about a lenient sentence?
I believe so.
Okay, and you said that you don't have the authority to guarantee someone a lower sentence, right?
Correct.
Okay, and you don't have the authority as a police officer, I'm not saying you personally, but as a police officer, you don't have the authority to guarantee someone bond, correct?
Correct.
And you didn't do that. You didn't make any guarantees, correct?
Correct.
Okay. Do you recall Mr. Zachary when he came to talk to you? Well, let me ask you this. In the calls, did you have any calls with Mr. Zachary before August 5th, 2015?
Before?
Yes. Like you said his family was calling. Did Mr. Zachary ever call you?
No, I don't believe so.
Okay. You say you don't believe so?
No.
Okay. These family members certainly expressed to you a desire for Mr. Zachary to be released, correct?
To be released or for me to come talk to him, pick him up to talk to him?
Both.
I don't recall about a release. His family was calling, asking could I go pick him up because he wanted to speak to me.
Okay. When you got into the interview room with him, he repeatedly stated that his desire was to be released on bond, correct?
Correct.
He stated he'd wear an ankle monitor, but he just needed to get out of jail.
Your Honor,
Correct?
I object. They've heard the interview.
I'm sorry, you what?
I
I
can't.
object. Best evidence. There, Mr. Shard is asking what he repeatedly stated, so they've heard the interview.
I really can't believe she's making that.
Oh, sure, I understand.
Best
the question.
evidence.
Can you repeat your question?
Mr. Zachary, during the interview, repeatedly stated his desire to be released on bond.
And your objection is best evidence?
Yes.
No, you cannot
Sustained.
sustain that. Oh my God, he's just.
Your Honor,
Yes.
as an advocate, I'd like to be able to ask questions about the video that was just
Thank
played. I think we're
Yeah,
to highlight certain aspects.
yeah. I need to be
So
able to.
sustain the objection. You may ask a different question.
Okay. Mr. Zachary indicated to you that Summer, his girlfriend, had told him it would be in his best interest to come talk to you, correct?
Yes.
And you agreed with him. You said absolutely. Correct?
Cops will always say that. By the way, they'll always tell you it's in your
Now-
best interest to talk to them. It's not.
When we talk about corroboration, that's something that you would do after the interview, correct? Check behind details or facts or claims, correct?
Are we talking about if someone told me something?
Yes.
Yes. I would try to attempt to.
Right, but that would be something done after the interview, correct?
Yes.
Okay, and you weren't corroborating things in real time with Mr. Zachary, were you? In the interview room?
Well, if that was a piece of evidence that I had in hand, like Investigator Dennis had a video or I had phone records, I was able to corroborate in that moment. But if you're just talking about based upon just something he said that happened, no, I was sitting in the interview room with him.
Right. So you certainly weren't corroborating. I understand you had the phone records for April 28th incident, but you had those on hand during the interview, correct? The April 28th incident phone records?
Yes.
Okay. But regarding the Donovan Thomas case where you weren't the lead investigator, you didn't have materials to corroborate in real time his claims about that, did you?
I'm trying to remember. There were some persons that we had cell phone records of that we knew were involved in retaliatory shootings. So if we would, again, obtain probable cause or search warrant for the cell phone records, some of the persons involved, we would go back to January to see if they were involved in any of the incidents that we could corroborate.
So that oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
So again, if it was a person that we had, some of those persons, we would go back to January to try to get some corroborating evidence.
But those materials were in relation to retaliatory shootings, as you're deeming them retaliatory shootings, not the January 10, 2015 incident.
January 15th?
No. You had materials, you're talking about materials you had regarding, and these are your words, retaliatory shootings. Though you didn't have documents, or what you're talking about did not involve the actual January 10, 2015 incident, involved things that happened afterwards, correct?
I cannot say for certain that the three persons, I can't say yes or no, out of the persons that we had, that we didn't go back to January the 10th of the Donovan Thomas murder. You say retaliatory shootings, which were in effect because of the murder. So of course we would go to January the 10th and not just the first date that we've known about the shooting, the retaliatory shootings.
Let me ask you this when we're talking about corroboration. Zachary, correct?
Yeah.
Mr. Zachary, during that interview on August 5th, 2015, you told Mr. Zachary, I'm going to get on the phone with the DA ASAP. You have my word, correct?
Yes.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Are there other defense attorneys who have questions for this witness?
Here we go.
All right.
Now,
Horrible.
did you hear that?
Okay. Are there other defense attorneys who have questions for this witness?
I shine, you shine, we shine. Thank you, V&E. Thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Thank you so much. All right, listen real careful right now.
All right.
Horrible.
horrible. So far, we have Miss Love. Why are you still talking? Now we have this one not just but saying horrible into the mic. Hey, another $4.99 super chat so much. Thank you, Viety. I just noticed the pic was in the file is the same pic that Love snuck and showed the jury other the day, and go back and check it out. I think you're right. I noticed that also, but I don't know what that picture is of, and so I don't know why Love was like so forwardly, sneakily doing that. It's so bizarre. It's bizarre. Wow. Thank you, Viety, though, for these super chats. It's amazing, and I super duper appreciate it. All right, so and like, this is the thing, guys. I've had some audacious witnesses, okay? Like, you know, my Google review stars are at like 4 or something, and I once said to my son, like, how come, you know, nobody likes me? And he's like, Mom, you're a lawyer. Half the people you know, go up against hate you. Oh yeah, good point. So, like, I get it. Like, you don't love us. But Gaither's supposed to be a cop, dude. She should not be behaving like that. She's supposed to be a professional. And so for her to come up there and make side comments, and like I've said throughout my career, I've gone against people who don't like me, and they've said nasty things and stuff, but I have never dealt with someone making side comments like that, especially a government employee. And I've had to call government employees before, like Adult Protective Services and different types of witnesses, so wild. Okay. Let's see what Lord Victor has to say now. The breathing is just so loud, y'all. Revenge of the Snitch. Darth Gaithers. Revenge of the Snitch. I love it. I don't know what the delay is right here. What's going on?
You think beyond your knowledge, okay? When you were doing policing and you'd obtained surveillance video images from, let's say, a business or a house, okay? I want you to focus on that. I heard you say today that you did that for the vault, the studio vault, when you watched the 10 cars go. You know what I'm talking about?
I didn't say I did. I said investigator Dennis did.
Okay, you didn't see the, you didn't view the...
I viewed it, yes.
Okay. Now, in 2015, that's the date I'm focused on, were there different types of memorializing or capturing of the images, whereby some business can hold the data or the images for 30 days, some would hold them for a year, some 15 days? Would it just depend on the particular product that they used?
I'm not aware of any. I don't have any technological background or things to obtain video to know how long a particular system holds information.
Okay. How about this? From your experience, though, could you get a video, let's say, that you were investigating something that happened a month ago? Would you go to the scene where there may be a video camera and see whether it holds the 30 days or more? Have you been able to capture that type of distance, that type of time?
I've investigated cases where sometimes it holds it for 30 days, sometimes 3 days, sometimes a year. It's all dependent on that particular system, or if we're talking about a specific investigation.
And when the system, we're talking about hold the images, at some point, because of storage, if you don't know this, I don't know.
So yes, you have, then. Just say yes, bitch.
The storage, sometimes some images fall off. It's too old to keep on the storage. Is that your experience?
I'm not an expert in technological video expert extraction, so I can't answer that.
Let's not talk just from your experience. Is there a date where it just can't hold? The people tell you, well, you find out it's too old. The data won't hold. That's what I'm asking you.
Objection, Foundation.
I'm asking on her experiences.
Overruled.
If you're asking me if the video has been overwritten, is that what,
sure.
Basically what you're asking me? Yes, I've heard of that, yes.
I think so. Okay. Have you ever dealt with a system that after, let's say, I'm using an example, 2 weeks, all the data is overwritten?
Objection, vague and relevance as to a system.
Overruled.
When you mean dealt with a system, what do you mean?
When you're investigating, well, your own system, but have experienced that all the data is gone, 2 weeks from that day, it's all gone and it just starts brand new? Or is it more of a rolling system?
I'm not sure what you're asking.
Let me ask it a better way. I'm just using dates, okay? January 1, 2015. I'll use 15. There's a business, McDonald's.
Okay.
You hold the image, I'm making all this up, holds the image for
He's
2
not
weeks,
making
January
this up
14th,
at
2015. Okay? Have you ever had experience where on the midnight, going into January 15th, 2015, everything for the last 2 weeks, in my example, from January 1st forward to January 14th at 11:59 is wiped out and we start anew? Or is it that certain parts of the system that keep rolling over, it just makes room and you keep adding the days, if you know?
Okay, no, Grateful 8, she says, this guy is horrible to steal. That's coming up, okay? Someone asked me a question. Hold on. Oh, shoot. Oh. Somebody asked me about Tony Busby, the attorney here, who's actually out in Houston. For those of you that are members, in the next 2 weeks, I'll be releasing a video about Diddy, and I'm going to talk about Tony Busby. All I know about Tony Busby is he successfully defended the Lieutenant Governor of Texas from being impeached. I know that he is known statewide, and I know that he is a very good litigator. That's it. I really don't pay attention to other people, so if I ever saw him on the other end of a suit, I wouldn't. I never like Google the other opponent. I don't give a shit. I'm gonna beat you no matter what, so I don't care who you are.
I've been told on occasions, you know, a system like I just stated, if it's longer than their saving period or cloud period, it'll overwrite itself. It won't save it. I've been told that. If that's what you.
Okay.
If I'm answering your questions.
Okay, no, that's fine. All right. Let's go back to the surveillance I just asked you about McDonald's. You and Detective Dennis interview Kenneth Copeland, and I'm just focused on the last time, or one of the last times, June 10th, 2015. Okay?
Okay.
I know Detective Thorpe is there, and ATF agents. But from that interview, you and Detective Dennis go down to the McDonald's to inquire about their surveillance. Remember that?
Yes, sir.
All right. And you got the number, the name of the person who, and you gave it to Detective Thorpe, the homicide detective on this case, to follow up.
Yes, sir.
Were you ever told by Detective Thorpe that he had already gone to the McDonald's on or about the 11th or 12th of January 2015 to look at that video?
Objection. That calls for hearsay and relevance as to whether or not Detective Thorpe ever told her that.
They're working the
You
case.
testified, right?
Yes.
Overruled.
I was not told.
Now, you were asked about truly humble under God. You remember those questions earlier today? Or that question earlier today?
Yes, sir.
Tell the jurors and tell us where, in all of your work on this case involving Mr. Williams, at any time, where you ever had an interview or conversation where you asked, or someone in your presence asked, or someone told you what THUG stands for.
There's never been a question asked of me.
With regards to the repost, and if you need to see it, please just tell me. I just have to refresh.
If you've been watching this live, if you're familiar with me, you know I don't like checklist lawyers, okay? I do not like it when they sit here and go, oh, check, check, check. That shit drives me nuts. Did you see what Steele did? He didn't do a check. He's not a checklist lawyer. He did a circle. He's a circle lawyer. It's amazing. I love it.
You said the what?
Repost. And if you need to see it, we're going to show it to you.
Oh no, Raynette, it is not a class action suit. If you're a member, you'll get to see my video. It is not a class action suit, ma'am. They are going to be 120 individual lawsuits.
January 26, 2015. Mr. Garlington, you helped the jurors see it previously. It starts out with Mr. Williams. I'm not quoting. I think it is a quote, but I don't want to quote. I don't get it. People lie to their kids, lie to their mothers, lie to their... You don't... Okay. Do you have the number that is? You want to have just one moment?
Okay.
Thank you. State is helping me out. Ms. Hilton's helping me out. Can I ask other questions over the meantime? Okay. They're helping me out, so we'll come back to that. Okay. Do you remember being shown State's Exhibit number 526YY? If you could help me out, Mr. Atkins. And with the court's permission, this is already in evidence. And just orient yourself with it if you don't mind. This is already in evidence. It's the number I just announced. And do you remember this?
Why? I didn't think that's an evidence. Is that what you said?
I believe that's you admitted it.
I said it would be admitted if tendered. I don't believe it was tendered.
It was tendered today, mine.
No.
Usually showing two different clips with two different contexts.
Well,
Okay, fast forwarding because blah, blah, blah.
if you don't remember,
Steele does a great job, but blah, blah, blah.
that's fine.
I just stated I'm confused because this is two separate clips from two totally separate parts of the interview.
Sure. Sure. But does this help you to help the jury that Mr. Copeland told you that he followed Mr. O.G. Bentley or Kelvin Treadwell to Jeffrey's home from their house. If it doesn't help, you just say.
Sir, we all just heard him just say that, but in the context that you're putting it in, it's a little confusing because this is two separate parts of the interview.
Well, from your knowledge of the interview and this case, is that what Mr. Copeland said?
That's what he just stated on there, yes.
Okay. Then I want to go back to the original question I asked about the, interviewing Mr.
Did you hear it? Let's go back.
I want to go back to the original question I asked about the, okay. Then I want to go back to the original question I asked about the, interviewing.
I feel like she said this looks horrible.
Allowing Mr. Copeland to speak with Mr. Garlington on a non-recorded line, okay?
I don't believe I stated.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Judge. May we approach briefly, please?
Yes.
Catherine now? Yes.
I try to listen to what they said, but I can't hear it.
And also, quite frankly, Your Honor, I'm going to ask you to address the witness and speak to the witness, and also, quite frankly, to speak to the DA as well. Because of the way everyone's positioned, they're obviously closer to the jury than anybody else. Their microphones are live, and what they say can be picked up on a microphone. A couple of times.
Sorry, who? What the state says at their table?
And what the witness is saying. And there have been at least 3 occasions where the witness has, either before or after a question, muttered something and said something into a microphone that can be picked up.
Well, I certainly haven't heard it. I can barely hear the answers.
I am not the only one who's heard it. At that last exchange, I heard her say something, I couldn't make out what she said, into the microphone. I guess she was frustrated after the question. And it's being picked up by the microphone. And if I can hear her muttering over here, whatever she's saying can be heard to the jury. And it's just inappropriate. I think it's simply enough to tell her to not make any extraneous comments that can possibly be picked up by the jury. Same thing for the state. And we've actually addressed this before prior to this court's involvement in the case, where there have been times where the state, either out of frustration or who knows why they're doing it, says something or they're making faces and they're saying something that can be picked up by the microphone. And because they're that close to the jury, I'm sure the jury can hear it too. So I'm just asking, as I've asked before, and as they have been told before, to be mindful of the things that they say and the fact that it can be picked up by the jury.
I can't say that I heard this because I was in the middle of everything, but I've been told by multiple sources that once my cross-examination was finished and Mr. Steele was going to begin, the witness said horrible.
She did.
Horrible?
Horrible.
She did.
Okay,
And she's
well,
sitting
you know
right
what?
next
If
to the jury.
the witness and or the state is saying things like that and the jury hears them, I cannot imagine that reflects well on either of them.
Your Honor, I have to say, I don't.
Bias. What? That's not enough. It not reflecting well is not enough. It is bias.
Ask that presumptions based on assertions by counsel for opposing for the defendants not be taken as true and then spoken as if they are by this honorable court, because I have no idea what Mr. Adams is talking about. I have not heard any mutterings. I don't know what Mr. Shard is talking about. The state does not have the luxury to sit here and say what it believes someone from the defense is doing without it being cut.
Okay, Brecca, thank you so much for joining Paralegal for 3 months. Welcome and thank you.
Quickly. So I'd ask that the court not act on what is being asserted by counsel for the defendants as we stop these proceedings to address something nobody heard, but apparently Mr. Adams.
Fortunately,
and Mr. Shard.
Trial.
Nobody, but literally everybody. We all heard it, bitch.
Fortunately, this trial is televised.
Your Honor.
You know what? I'm going to stick with what I said before, which is if a witness wants to present themselves in that way in front of the jury, that is a reflection on that witness, and the jury can evaluate that. So no, I'm not going to advise her or any other witness one way or, well, depends on what they say, and I didn't actually hear anything, but no, if she wants to make derogatory comments, then that is a poor reflection on her, and the jury, if they heard it, will notice it. And to the extent, I mean, I haven't, was that basically just about this witness?
It was about the witness and about the prosecution. And let's be
Who's
clear.
doing this, or you believe is doing something like this right now?
Yes, and who has done it before. I'm not just saying that. The court has addressed it before, because it's happened before, so we're not making this up. She was admonished previously by the prior court to stop doing that.
And you're saying she's doing it again, and it is making faces and or comments.
Making faces, making comments. It can be picked up by the microphone. These mics are live. And as Mr. Shard pointed out, luckily, this trial is being televised and live
I
streamed.
don't know why that's lucky, because the jury's not going to watch the live stream.
I'm not talking about it. I'm saying...
I mean, the jury is the one deciding this case.
The person making the complaint...
Because the public should be able to see this to hold you accountable. That's why lucky. That's why Adam says lucky. Adam says, luckily, the public is finally able to see the bullshit we've been dealing with the Fulton County DA. That is the done in the dark will come to light, and thankfully it's come to light in front of the whole nation.
About the behavior is of the defendants. And I'm in support of what I'm saying. I'm telling you that we are not the only ones who have noticed this. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Your Honor, and I would ask, I have asked that the microphone not be close to counsel's table over here behind, so that
Which microphone are y'all even talking about?
anyone that can pick up conversation at state's table, because I'm not trying to have our
No, it shouldn't be. You all, any attorneys ought to be able to talk to each other at their table privately without anything being picked up. So I don't know if that means y'all want to turn off your mic because we're in a big, awkward courtroom where nobody can hear anybody sometimes, but then apparently people can hear mutterings under the breath other times. So
we have it off. I've unhooked this, even though it's off. I don't want anything said at counsel table heard, period.
And then I don't know what the situation is with the mics that are on the back table, whether those are off.
No.
They're off.
Okay.
Sometimes what we learned the last time is that mic is on.
That mic being the podium mic, which has to be on.
So we have to be more conscious. Sometimes the podium mic can pick up our conversation because we're closest to.
Mr. Maurice has something to add, and maybe he knows because he's a media guy.
Y'all not picking up our conversations. We came here a witness. She's left a couple remarks towards the end of her.
Y'all, I guess because y'all are plugged straight into the system, y'all get to hear way more than we get to through the ambient air.
But we're not picking up any of their conversations.
Okay. Okay. Well, I mean, I wish we could hear as well as the live stream apparently can, but there's nothing that can be done about that. All right. Anybody need to use the restroom while we're on a break? Go ahead and do that now. And I mean, it doesn't matter, I guess, but do we think we'll get through this witness today? Are there going to be other defense attorneys with cross? And then is there going to be redirect? I guess we'll just see what happens. But
to answer your question, at this point, no.
Okay.
Miss Love's always making it about something it isn't.
Was Jeffrey Williams, do you have any information? Jeffrey Williams was staying in the state of Florida in the same location as Kenneth Copeland.
I don't have any information that Jeffrey Williams was even in Florida. Confirmed information that he was even there.
Did you ever, the cell phone records you got at Jeffrey Williams' phone?
I did not get cell phone records for Jeffrey Williams' phone.
Did your partners get cell phone records for Jeffrey Williams' phone?
I can't speak what anybody else did. I did not get records for Mr. Williams' phone.
Did you ever plot, you, maybe not, but your coworkers, Jeffrey Williams' phone going to Florida?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. The witness has asked and answered multiple times and has stated she does not know.
Here,
Okay.
or does this...
Then the state calls this guy about the phone calls, and he talks for a while, and then the judge says, goodbye, everyone.
One out of information.
I will
Seems familiar to
see
you. It is.
In a week. I mean, the misconduct's on high, y'all. It's just out of control. It's out of control. But luckily, we're done with Gaither. Thank God. God, what awful. Awful. Now, fingers crossed, when they come back on Wednesday, the judge is serious about requiring the state to narrow their case down and actually start to, ask questions that elicit an answer and not just talk in circles forever. I am also following the Sarah Boone case. She's the lady who locked her boyfriend or zipped her boyfriend in a suitcase and then left him overnight and laughed at him on video. She testified, and I noticed that when she testified, her mic was totally, it was like totally messing up. And Miss Love's mic always messes up. And I believe that there's a correlation between like evil and mics messing up. I don't know. I'm just thinking about it, y'all. What do you think? Yeah, she is a nut job. So every Wednesday I release a video about Sarah Boone, who is a nut job. I did a video on the Diddy indictment, which I'm sure you've all seen and heard about by now. For my members, I have a new video about Diddy coming out sometime hopefully next week. Also, I'm going to be doing some special content for my members, maybe some live footage of me at court, that kind of stuff. So, Corona Jones, I think there's still about 189 witnesses left, but I think that's going to get narrowed next week. Oh, Baby says it's 98, but hopefully that gets narrowed down next week to fewer, and it is, it's exhausting. Love takes so long. She said Monk Tunk was going to take 3 or 4 hours, and he ended up taking like 4 days. So, because she can't get to a point, she's got to go around the point 400 times before she can actually arrive at it. It's crazy. Okay, so if you're a member, you're going to get to see that extra Diddy footage. You'll get to see footage of me live in court. And, well, it's not live, but it's recorded of me in court. And we've got a lot more coming for you. For those of you who are only following YSL, I will see you next Friday at 10 a.m. for our live. Even if they're in court, I will get together with you at 10 a.m. And on Wednesday the 9th, I will have another video about Sarah Boone. Her trial starts on Monday, but they'll be starting the voir dire of choosing the jury. And I think that's going to take a little while because her case, like, it happened 5 years ago, and she's written all those letters, so she's been all over the news. And, you know, I don't think there's a lot of action in Orlando-ish area, so I think she probably takes up a big majority of the news, you know, so. Thank you to everyone who hit like. Thank you to subscribers. For those of you that contributed today, I appreciate your contribution so much. Thank you. Make sure you hit subscribe. I'm trying to get to 10,000 before the end of the year. And I can't wait to see y'all again next week. Have a good one.